Well, hello there, and welcome on in to another episode of Oh So Curious, times DCU Daily, times mostly Marvel, because we have to talk about the Fantastic Four today. There's lots going on in the world of the MCU. We've got a few other things from the MCU we got to get into. Of course, we also have to then talk about some rumors. There's a rumor of some X-Men casting. Um, is Mikey Madison joining Sergeant Rock? We'll talk about that. We wanted to get into a few follow-up, details regarding the Superman lawsuit that we got into last week. So we'll talk about that as well, of course. And then, we'll be reviewing Dogman, Companion, and looking ahead one more time to Love Hurts, because it's a movie that looks so good. We have to talk about it twice. And with that in mind, let's get that show started, shall we? Oh, there I am again. I was gonna say something else, but it's brain to
You
mouth
fucked up.
barrier.
You
Um,
fucked up.
Stopped myself. I almost tripped there. It's too early to get canceled on this show. So hello there, Liz, and hello there, John. How are you doing today? I'll start with you, Liz. How was your weekend? John ran it solo yesterday, so hopefully he has recovered from the experience. But Liz, how are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you. Worked all weekend, so you're going to be seeing a lot of yawning coming out of me. I apologize in advance, but other than that, I'm doing very well. Good to see you guys.
I and on that note, John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. A lot better now. Digestive's a lot better. But yeah, doing good. I had a good weekend. Catching up on stuff. Gonna be reading a lot of script stuff this week for upcoming videos, so that's gonna be fun.
Nice, nice. That does sound fun. We're gonna get into a lot of Fantastic Four stuff today. Liz has got a sign today that fits the theme, certified family. So, we're just ready to get things going here as we always do with the news. So let's dive into the news.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always number two.
All right, Mr. I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
Robert
You're
Downey.
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the.
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. You're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the world needs now.
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Wow.
All right, let's get into the news, shall we? We've been waiting all day and just going through, every little frame of this new trailer from the Fantastic Four, The First Steps, or I think it's The Fantastic Four First Steps, or TFFFS. And they
Just
have an
calm
official
down.
trailer
Calm
out.
down, Dan. Just calm down.
Um, the movie comes out July 25th. Let's dive into it, shall we? You guys saw the trailer. I want to get your reactions. Liz, what did you think about it?
It's giving me Incredibles vibes. I'm really excited about it. I like that it seems like we're not going to get any other outside characters that we know already involved, which is going to be nice. It'll just be a pure Fantastic Four film. I mean, we'll see. You never know. Marvel likes to throw things at you, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it looks really great. I'm digging the vibe. I'm digging the cinematography. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I watched the trailer the first time on an iPhone. So my first experience with the trailer wasn't necessarily the greatest, but then I quickly tuned it into a bigger screen, and Here are my initial thoughts, and I know we're gonna get into it a little bit more as we have a longer conversation, but emotionally, it didn't hit me as well as I thought it would. I thought the colors were a little too muted for what I was expecting. A lot of the CGI looks unfinished, which isn't surprising, but you expect that for a movie that still has a few months to go with post-production. I also looked at some of the character moments, if you want to call them that. And I thought like the Eben Moss-Bachrach's thing probably, had the most emotionally affecting stuff in the trailer. Like when he's doing his whole, critiquing of the recipe that Herbie's working on. I'm like, yeah, all right, I get it. He's in the bear. I see, the whole, I was doing my best Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the screen imitation, but exactly like that. But outside of that, there's a lot in here that's so essential Marvel. You get Herbie, you get the car, you get the retrofuturistic stuff.
That
What I
car is
missed a
awesome.
little bit, that car is awesome. I'll tell you this though, the way this movie is shot, the way they do show some of the exteriors, and it does look like it's not quite our world. But I thought they would
Right.
go even more hardcore into the retrofuturistic, and I felt like at least this trailer, because it showcased a lot of night sequences and the skyline looked almost the same as the one in New York today. I didn't feel as much of the retro futuristic as I thought I would. And then a lot of the other stuff, like the suits, we have already sort of gotten a preview at, so it wasn't exactly super striking, other than the fact that we got it in live action versus an artwork form that we had in the past. There are Easter eggs. There's other stuff we're gonna get into. I am getting more and more of a sense that this trailer, is about a movie that's retrofuturistic, and it looks like the 60s, but it's probably not actually the 60s in their world because of like the technology and stuff. The spaceship taking off was nice, but yeah.
I mean, I don't know. They're gonna need to find a way to blend them into the rest of the MCU. So I don't know timeline wise. I mean, we'll see what happens. It could just, like you said, it could just be another world entirely.
Yeah.
So we'll see about that because we know they are going to appear in other films later on down the line. But I will say gang, remember this is the very first look. So,
Right.
I mean, yes, we're gonna pick them apart. That's what everybody's gonna do, but like, let's also keep in mind that this is the very first look. Like, there's clearly going to be other trailers between now and then, other snippets that we're gonna see. So, I'm not ready to completely pass judgment at this time, but I am excited for what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, John, what did you think about it? Obviously, you probably had a chance to see it a
Yeah,
couple of times already.
Is that the hand, like right there in that shot?
What?
That kind of looks like the hand sticking out, like we had from
Yeah.
Eternals.
I don't see
I
anything.
don't know. I mean, he just because in the
But-
sequence he flies up and then he seems to flame out because he's no longer in the
Right.
atmosphere. So
Yeah.
yeah, which is interesting how the physics of that would work.
Yeah,
Come on, Caleb. What's a Caleb with a K? Get out of here, man. Anyway, sorry, John. Continue.
Yeah, it was a good trailer. Like it did not get me all that hyped. Like it was like it was like fine. It was fine. I think for most of the trailer, yeah, it's like the cinematography is maybe slightly better than your average Marvel movie, which is not saying much because most of their movies look
it's
the
certainly
same.
very different from anything we've seen from them before.
Yeah,
aside from
but it's
maybe a
still the
couple
same.
episodes
I
of
agree with
WandaVision.
Dan though. It feels like the same generic muted color palette that they always use.
Like it looked, and
And
that made it look like a Marvel movie, which I was really hoping they kind of like committed to a different look because it's not meant to be the sacred timeline. I don't know.
yeah,
That's one thing that anyway. Go ahead.
it's just like I will say some of the effects look okay, like Invisible Woman, all that stuff. I don't mind the uniforms. I know people were, when they gave that sneak peek, well, not sneak peek, where it was just the cast being like, "Hey, we're filming," and
Yeah.
everyone saw, Joseph Quinn's Human Torch like outfit, and people lost their minds, like, "Fucking such a downgrade." It's like it's clearly supposed to be 60s vibes. Like, calm down.
Well, and
But
again, like Caleb is saying in the chat, someone turn up the color saturation. Gang, it's supposed to give you the vibes of that time, of being shot in that time, using the type of technology of that time. It's supposed to give you that overall feel. It's not going to be a movie based in the 1960s filmed in 2025. Like that's
But
I know the whole.
but that's the thing. I think
I'll
this
need to
is where our
understand cinematography.
no, well, we're gonna get into that too in a second, but like also, I think some of that has to do with how we are accustomed as an audience. We see so many period pieces nowadays, and a lot of
Yeah.
them are shot to look like, oh my God, imagine if you had the cameras technology of today, shooting stuff from in the
I
past,
don't I
and it
don't get
looks
the
all
vibe of a
vibrant and
No,
stuff.
1960s
I
movie
would
from this
argue the
trailer.
opposite. I would argue the opposite. I mean, just look at September 5th, shot
I'm
as
just
if
against
it
the
was shot in the
expectation.
70s. Look at The Crown. I mean,
Speaking of Vanessa
I don't
Kirby,
know that I agree with that. No.
this doesn't look like a 1960s movie at all. This looks like a shitty Marvel 2025 movie shot in 2025, but it's like it
Okay.
looks like the 60s. That's what it looks like to me. And the thing is, I've like studied, like I took cinematography classes in college, and I've have an eye for like certain things when it comes to color. And it's like, don't get me wrong, it looks like fine. It looks a little bit better. I did say it does look a little bit better, but it still looks like the same kind of bland Marvel movies we've been getting. And and it did, like, for a Fantastic Four trailer, I'm like, okay, that looked cool. Like, you know what? Like, this looks kind of okay. But the thing is, with Fantastic Four, with how many dog shit fucking movies we've gotten in the past, it's like this one had to like be like, wow, this one had to be fucking like
Yeah, that's fair.
amazing to
Yeah.
really push that. And it didn't, like Superman, like that got me pumped. That got me pumped. Like the fucking chanting in the background, the fucking different look to the overall movie. We like, this is like James Gunn is like trying to pump this movie up. This just looks like every other Marvel movie when it shouldn't, because of how, one, important the Fantastic Four is, and two, how they need to get this right. Because if they don't, we're never seeing Fantastic Four on film again, unless they like forced the Fantastic Four in other shit, because, well, we didn't have margin for error, so we have to like put the Fantastic Four in everything because of
I'm
Secret
just gonna
Wars and all
say,
that
if
shit.
you guys watch the Superman trailer and this trailer back and forth, like the Superman trailer is also kind of dull and muted. It's got a blue overtone to the entire thing. So I mean, I get what you're saying, but at the same time, you guys are treating all of this like it should be The Incredibles. Like there should be pops of color everywhere,
That's
and it
not
should be
correct. I
like,
like Marvel. It's just I don't like how this this trailer should have been better. Like, I'm just saying, it was a
no,
good trailer.
I
It was
agree
fine,
that
but it should
right
have been
out
better.
the gate they should be hitting us with something just insane. But at the same time, I think they're trying to hedge their bets. They're giving us a little tease because, again, we know we've all had all this hype from Superman. They're also still trying to promote Thunderbolts, which comes out first. They're also still trying to get through Captain America. So I think they're just giving us a little taste right now. And like I said, we still have almost 6 months where we're going to get more from them. They've been very kind of, they've been keeping this under wraps for quite some time. Like I said, they barely gave us the cast a couple of months ago.
Yeah,
so.
and too, for I like how the suits look. I like the
way the suits look a lot. Yeah.
I like the sweater looks a lot.
I love
the
the suits. I
sky
think this is
blue
the
I
best
aesthetic.
version.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah,
very
but the trailer
essential
was okay.
Marvel.
I feel like it should have
Yeah.
been better, though. In my opinion, I feel like it should have been better.
Like, to me, the same. It's like, here's the thing. But now this is I admitted this earlier today because I was talking to Fiona about it, and she actually thought the art
I mean,
direction
we
in
can't
this
judge the
trailer
movie because
was,
it hasn't come out yet. So
yeah.
Right.
The art direction in this movie feels more like, like aligned with like a singular vision, whereas the way Fiona described the Superman trailer is she couldn't quite place what they were going for. And I was like, but that was the point. They were going for a timeless feel in Superman, where you wouldn't be able to tell where it actually happens. Whereas here, it feels it's more committed to the 60s idea. I just felt like personally, I think they could have done even more of that. Like they could have given us, more of the elements of the 60s. But I mean, the trailer is shorter than the Superman trailer if you are doing comparisons. I mean, look, I'll say up front, comparison is the enemy of joy, so I think there's only so far we can go with that, but naturally people will compare because the movies come out 2 weeks apart.
Sure.
And I think like on second, third watch, the Superman trailer like became more emotionally affecting for me the more I saw it. This trailer, like I said, I think it feel like the trailer itself didn't leave as much of an impression on me, because I think that Superman trailer went for iconography. The word iconography was literally what that trailer was spelling out. It's like
Right.
iconic moment. It was a celebration of Superman. We're going back to, the classic DC. This felt more like this is a Marvel movie that is trying to reestablish these set of characters that are entering a bigger universe. Clearly the two movies have different goals in mind, even though they're reintroducing two of the most iconic and what are at the very core of these brands. Fantastic Four are like the first Marvel set of characters that ever really existed, or first team up, as they're as essential to Marvel as Spider-Man. And then Superman is, of course, Superman. DC is Superman. Superman is DC. So in that sense, yes, absolutely. There's similarities, but beyond that, this is very different. I think the goals of this movie are different in many ways. I will say, seeing Herbie looks fantastic. I like the look of this here. They brought in Matt Shakman to do this. Matt Shakman did WandaVision, so clearly he's somebody who's got the experience doing something that's a little retro-futuristic. So I appreciated that. Now, as we keep the conversation going, because believe me, guys, we have got a lot of little, nuggets of we're gonna overanalyze the shit.
And I will say, I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this. I don't like how the Thing looks. I like
him.
The thing is, I like how they're going for the comic accurate look. It's just the CGI looks fucking terrible. I will give them the benefit of the doubt, considering there is 5 more months of tweaking. However, it's also Marvel, and they just finished filming a couple months ago, when James Gunn has been working on the Superman effects for the past 6 months. So it's just that's the unfortunate part. I wish they had more time to work on it, because most of the CGI here did not look good. And
there's a heavier reliance on CGI in general in this trailer than what you saw in Superman, which I think is just a filmmaking approach. That's one of the ways in which Marvel is able to get these movies out so quickly, regardless of how much they're overworking the CGI artists. There's clearly a difference in filmmaking philosophy. You could tell a lot of the stuff in the Superman trailer was shot in camera as much, and obviously some of it was enhanced. There was a lot of sequences where you had particle effects and stuff, when they're fighting in the baseball stadium. They shot a lot of it for real, but then they obviously enhanced a lot of it in post-production. So whereas here you saw, there were entire sequences which felt like they were CGI, because how else are you going to do Galactus looking at the Statue of Liberty? It's anyway. So by the way, guys, in the chat, if you're joining us, there's a lot of you here. If you're enjoying the conversation, hit that like button. We are trying to get through all of your comments as we do. Of course, I've got the poster up on screen that's generating a lot of controversy, and Caleb's already addressed it a little bit. But yeah, let's dive into that, shall we? So this poster is one of several that they put out today, right? They put out this one. They also put out this one here, which looks really cool. It does look like it's shot on a studio backlot, but that whatever. That's
yeah.
It
almost
one of those
in the alleys in Friends, when they're on the side streets in New York City.
I love the comments on the side. How are you going to drop a banger trailer and follow it up with AI? They own 40% of the entertainment industry, but can't afford to pay an actual artist.
Oh yeah. They gotta skim off the top somewhere. But anyway, I like this particular poster, and we're gonna get back to this later, because this kind of ties into Matt Shakman's portfolio with Marvel. But here's a controversy. This particular poster, was the one that generated all the AI controversy. So
generated.
Here's before we. Thank you. I kind of walked into that one. So here's a few things this is essentially where the controversy is, right? This part of the image specifically. You see this here. This lady here is also back here. So they clearly just duplicated the same person, so it shows up twice. Now, of course, in a lot of CGI shots in bigger movies, even, for example, in The Dark Knight Rises, for example, right? When they're doing the whole stadium shot at the beginning, where they shot it at the Pittsburgh Steelers Stadium in Heinz Field. They shot they had a few hundred people on it, maybe 1,000 people. And obviously that stadium holds 70, 80,000 people. So they moved them around different, angles to kind of fill out the different areas. And then in post-production,
from a poster where you can analyze.
No, I know. I'm saying, but I'm getting to it. That technique is common in post-production. But to do it in a poster, like you said, John, feels a little lazy. Like people are gonna like zoom in and overanalyze the shit out of it.
Yeah,
Like
'cause
James
that's what
Gunn
we
knows
do.
that, which is why like James, for everything we have seen for Superman, like he does a little too much to try to avoid those kind of issues sometimes. But on the other end of the spectrum, we get stuff like this, where clearly, this is not the second time that we have seen this. Either it's really bad Photoshop, like for example, the hand thing. You can clearly see this person's hand has 3 fingers and a thumb.
I mean,
So
some
I'm like,
people are missing digits.
some people have missing digits. I'm like, representation. I totally get it. Like if that's what they're going
No,
for.
but truly,
But,
this looks like the type of poster that I would have made my freshman year in art school when I was just learning about Photoshop. It was the one Photoshop class I took. I didn't take a lot away from it. I still can't Photoshop for shit. This is the kind of thing that I would make. So so for a multi-million billion-dollar company to put this out, it's like, ugh, like we just phoned it in today. That's what we're doing. Okay.
and again, like it's people notice. Like it's you're not gonna get away with that. Like they have to know better than this.
I will say I didn't
quality
notice right off
control
the
has to
bat.
be
So
there.
when we were talking about it, you guys, Dan did have to break it down for me, but I was like,
Mhm.
I'm also like, you guys get a life. That's all I could like. I saw the poster quick and I was like, okay,
Get a
cute.
life.
But who is I want to know who these people are that are sitting here and going through every square inch centimeter of and finding these things. Like, get a life. Like, I'm sorry, I understand it, but at the same time, like, it's not that serious. So I'm of two minds about this. Like, it's just wild to me that people are wasting their time doing these things and breaking all of this
Honestly,
down.
like I didn't hear about. I looked at that Thunderbolts poster too, and I never noticed it until people pointed it out because I didn't look too closely. So yes, the average person's not going to care, right? This
Right.
controversy is mostly because of the hardcore fans, and then it generates further conversation, and then eventually the average person is gonna be wondering, wait, what is going on with this poster? And then
Right.
the word spreads. So Marvel,
Yeah.
of course, had to come out and be like, no, we did not actually use AI. So
It's
provided
just bad
clarification.
Photoshop that we didn't take a look at thoroughly and put
Right.
out there. That was our
It is,
bad.
but to me, you know what? Even if it is just Photoshop, I'm like somebody needs to have a serious like here it is. Actually, no, this is from the other movie that had that issue. The what was it? The Brutalist is having
Yeah.
some AI controversy around it too, which was again overblown. But I'm like, look, regardless of what this problem was, regardless of whether this was bad Photoshop or it is actually AI and they're just lying to us, but if it is indeed just bad Photoshop, look, you need to do better quality control because it's not like the artist works on it and then the next thing it does, it makes it out into the world. Like you're gonna have an art director, you're gonna have like a ton of people in the marketing department who do the work to make sure this kind of shit doesn't happen. Where you have, oh, they're like, oh, nobody's gonna notice. We notice. Like
Clearly, yeah.
you could tell.
Yeah.
So just avoid the controversy, right? And I bet if you looked hard enough, like there's actually more than just that lady, duplicated. Can you see here? This lady here next to the hand is the same lady up here.
Right.
There's a lot of duplication. Like this person here with the hat is the same person here with the hat. Like
Yeah.
they're clearly
Well,
just.
and
I
just
mean, but
even the perspective of the guy in the front where you keep like his shoulders covering his face, like
yeah,
nobody stands like that. Like it's
yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely some issues here. And again,
I
like
just
just to your
realized. Wait a minute, hang on. The guy with
Mhm.
the guy behind the blue flag, he doesn't have a
Right.
head.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like
I'm like once you started
he
saying that,
either
I'm like,
has
oh my
no
god.
neck whatsoever. Yeah, like his head
Yeah, he
is
straight
coming
up
out of his
doesn't.
chest. Yeah.
This is fucking AI generated.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm referring to. Right.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you.
It's like
Sorry.
either
I thought
like
you were
either don't
referring
lie
to the
to
guy with
us.
the camera. That's why I was sorry about that. I thought you were.
Well, no, the guy with the camera. So there was the article saying that people had like extra fingers, and I said, oh no, that's just a wrinkle in his face that just happens to blend. But as Dan was like going through the whole thing with me, I was like, oh,
This shit's
okay,
AI
yeah,
generated.
yeah.
They're fucking lying. Get the fuck out. Like it's at least like have the balls to fucking own up to it. Like just be like, yeah, sorry guys, we they're AI generated. We'll take them down. We'll redo it and blah 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 blah. All that shit. Just fucking admit to it. Like don't be a fucking asshole and just be like, oh yeah, no, we didn't do it. When you
I
can
will say
clearly
this.
see the
in Photoshop they have an AI generative fill function which can create some effects like this where the same people will be duplicated a few times. But I will say some of this looks intentional, the duplication. And there, so I'm here. This is usually the truth is somewhere in between all the
Right.
the
I
haze and
mean,
the
quite
lies
frankly,
and the
to me, it like I said,
accusations.
it gives off vibes of like an art student's, first project in Photoshop and like,
And they were a
so
little
what?
lazy. They didn't.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
they
A
saw
little
somebody
lazy.
posted it online and they were like, "Oh, we like that fan art, like we'll throw it up." And then they
Mhm.
were like, "Oh shit, we didn't actually look at it." I mean, there's many different explanations, but they're never going to tell us the truth about it, unfortunately.
I think what happened here is a combination of there's some AI generation happening here because does look like there's some stuff here where like the body parts don't quite line up. It's like, huh? It's like a little bit of AI. And then also there is a little bit of just bad Photoshop work where they just decided to either clone stamp or just have the same group shot. And I'm like, look, I can make a better version of this poster if you gave me 5 hours or just literally a 1 8-hour workday. And I go into Photoshop with a very specific vision and then I put this thing together. You could do it. Like it's and they would probably have had months to work on this. So from a big movie studio for a picture that they have spent literally hundreds of millions of dollars on are going to continue to do so. You just have to. I mean, it just feels like you got to put in more effort, right? And
Yeah.
I get you can't make everything the best thing ever, but you have to do better than these rookie mistakes. That I mean, it's
Well,
like
and like you said, there were
yeah,
enough people involved here that this should have been caught and it should have been addressed before they released it. I completely agree that. It's
yeah,
they just dropped the ball.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's just gonna yeah. I don't know what else to say other than that it's just lazy. Speaking of which, I mean, you talked about cinematography earlier, so here's a look at some of the shots from the actual
Mhm.
movie, and it literally, again, I have problems with some of the coloring of the shots, but I mean, look, the cinematography looks good, not anything that's out of this world. We haven't seen enough. There's some iconic shots. I will say
Yeah,
this
it's a
shot
good shot.
particular reminds me of a little bit of Zack Snyder's Superman cinematography, but
Yeah, when he's like floating
it's
in
good.
space after the nuke gets him. Yeah,
Yeah.
reminds me of that.
That, and then also when he does it again, when he comes back in the black suit, it's all the same, like which harkens back to that other moment that you just mentioned. So I do
Yeah.
appreciate it. I think this is certainly creative and goes beyond what a bad Marvel movie would do. Like I think like the third act of Black Widow, for example. So there's definitely a lot of good stuff here. Um, it's quite frankly, this trailer is not long enough for us to provide a
Yeah, that's what I'm
full
saying. Again, it's just
assessment.
first looks, guys. It's just
So
first looks.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you could tell some of the sequences the CGI is not finished. And then when I say not finished is like in some of the darker shots here, I feel like the rendering on the thing is going to look better when the movie comes out. Like the lighting
Yeah.
and some of the texturing is going to look even better. Not that it looks bad here. I personally really like the way the version
So
of
do
the
I.
thing is the best combination of what they did with the previous two iterations of the movies. Whereas it is much more comic book accurate, it works. The sweater still looks very CGI in this shot because some of the rendering is not quite maybe 100% perfect. Some of it you might never be able to get right because it's when we look at something that looks uncanny to us, our brains are trying to compare to something we can associate with, like, oh, that's what it should look like. But like there's some instances where like when we were looking at the Hulk or the Thing, we don't know what a Hulk or the Thing is actually meant to look like, So we're never gonna quite because we don't have a reference point. So that's just the human mind thing. Whereas like this guy can walk out in front of us in real life and he will look exactly like that. We're like, oh, so they did do a good job with it. So anyway, what did you guys think about the Galactus introduction here? Do you think the Galactus is what do they call him? He's not an Eternal, but he's Celestial. Isn't he in the Celestial in the comics? So do you
I
think that's
believe
Yeah,
the angle
so.
they're going with here?
some people in the comments felt that he wasn't to scale properly, but he can
Right.
adjust his size. So like for me, I didn't have an issue with that in any
Bruh,
regard.
just be thankful he's not a fucking cloud again, all right? Just like take what we can get, all right? Even if he's not to scale, fuck it. I'll take like guys, come on. At least he's not a fucking cloud. Come on. I'll
I mean,
take
Caleb
and
has
the thing is Ralph
covered.
Innocent has a great voice. So like say what you will, whether you agree with Galactus being part of the movie or not, Innocent is going to be a fucking amazing Galactus just based like he's a great actor, yes.
Mhm.
But just on voice alone, that dude is gonna have a lot of power behind him.
Yeah. I mean, Liz, what did you think about this? What did you think? Just getting Galactus right out the gate, and obviously they're gonna get into Avengers pretty soon, and Doctor Doom is
Yeah,
gonna be showing
I
up.
mean,
So
again, I feel like for most audiences who are just going to see it just to see an action film that may not necessarily know the comics and the various characters, they might have missed it in the trailer initially, like because it is kind of, he does come by like really quick. But for people that sit at home and analyze this stuff to death, and I guess we're part of that, I think it looks fine. I'm again I'm just it just makes
Lenny's
me
in
want
the
to see
chat.
more.
Hi,
That's all.
Lenny.
Hi,
oh,
Lenny.
hi, Lenny.
Yeah, it just makes me want to see more. That's all. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and
I mean,
again,
I
it
wish
also
she
gives you
was.
that
I wish she
indication.
was like bright
Is
purple,
Galactus
but
in it a
that's
lot?
just
Is it in a
me.
little? Yeah.
You're also looking at this from like an over-the-shoulder shot with like a glare on the right side,
With the
right?
light,
So like
with
I'm
the lighting.
sure.
Well, and
Yeah,
again,
I
yeah,
hope
and
it's like
so
bright
it gives me,
purple and green.
yeah. Well, so
and
again,
pink,
it begs the
blue,
question:
pink.
is this going to be at the end of the film or an end credit scene? Is Galactus going to be in it a lot? Is it going to be the big bad, or is it just going to be a preview for what's to come? So
Yeah.
I'm, again, we need more. We need more.
By the way, the look at the skyline, you do see some things that you don't see in like our world, right? Like the real world or the world of the MCU, where you see
Is
like
that
this building in
Avengers
the bottom
Tower?
left. Where?
No,
Well, that's
not it.
the Baxter building or whatever, right?
The Baxter
No,
building, right?
I was looking at another building. No,
But I'm like, what are these buildings down here? Like, we don't know what these are.
got like the
they don't
fucking
exist.
Space Needle down
They
there.
don't exist in real life in New
Yeah.
York. You obviously see the Empire State Building. Like, of course you can't not have that there. But you could clearly see this is not the same skyline, and some of it looks underdeveloped. Like the modern day the Manhattan of 2025 has way more skyscrapers than what you see here. There's also like this needle. Like, is that what you're talking about, John? Like down here, like that the saucer
No,
thing.
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about something
Someone in the
else.
chat said it's giving Jetsons vibes, and I
Yes.
couldn't agree more. And
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
it.
yeah. I think that's
I
intentional.
personally love it myself.
Yeah, yeah.
That
that's
would be an
Castle
interesting
Grayskull.
where the cape. That would be an interesting thing. Like they fucking straight up lose, and the fucking world gets nuked, and they have to go to the 616 universe. That would be interesting. Like that would be like an Infinity War like ending where it's like, oh shit,
they have to tie it in with the other films because we know they're gonna be in the other films afterwards.
Yeah, I mean,
so
we know that's
that
gonna
would make
happen. It
sense.
would be
That's
great,
what
but
they did,
I don't think Marvel is that ballsy. So there's a little. Well, I mean, the color grade's a little bit different. It still kind of feels like a Marvel movie, as we were saying before, but it's, it's. I mean, it's a little different, but it's still not my cup of tea. But that's just
again, like I mentioned this for Superman. Some of this stuff is going to get changed because again, this is not the final version of the movie, so a lot of these things will have to evolve as they continue to work on the film. I'm not saying that it's going to become completely different than what we see today, but it's going to look like slightly different. Like if you compare this trailer to the exact shot in the movie, let's say after it comes out on Blu-ray or whatever, you're going to see differences. So there's going to be small changes. But I mean, look, this is the shot that the trailer pretty much starts off on. It's one of the first shots, actually. What did you guys think about Herbie? We got our first look at Herbie. I mean, which we know is like
I like what they're going for.
Never adapted
like,
before.
Yeah.
I like that. Like it's like the old style and kind of cute.
It's almost like he's got the tape or the film playing.
I know my friend will hate it because he fucking hates Herbie, but I think it looks fine. I think it looks cute.
Yeah, and then by the way, Thronkill asking it's a different Earth, right? Yes, it is. This is not meant to be the MCU sacred timeline 616, right? This is meant to be another parallel universe.
Yeah.
And then a question from Yash, or a statement saying the Incredibles also had a retro-futuristic aesthetic. They did.
Yeah.
It just in animation form you treat it.
You got Michael Giacchino doing the score again. So
yeah. Yep. Brad Bird could have directed this. Could have.
I mean, he already did direct the best Fantastic Four movie we've ever gotten with The Incredibles, so
Yeah.
Like Brad Bird directed the best Superman movie and the best Fantastic Four movie, no holds barred, easily.
See, now this is what Marvel and DC need to do to get a Barbenheimer effect going, right?
Or
we need a Herbie Crypto team up. We need plushie toys
and on top of the fact. And we're going to get Rule 34 of them. Just you wait. Like, we're going to get tons of Rule 34 because the internet is a disgusting, disgusting place. So be prepared for that, guys.
But yeah, Manolo's saying it's a multiverse story. So yeah, I
Yep.
mean, we're gonna get a lot of different things here that will not line up, a lot of story threads that don't line up with the regular MCU. So when we go into the movie, we're gonna need to make sure that we're not expecting this to be like the same world where Iron Man exists with Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. playing him, and some things that be different. Maybe the Avengers are not even there, because certainly in the trailer so far, it looks like the Fantastic Four are the big cheese, right? It's like this is something that we haven't seen in the MCU anything since maybe the for phase one, because in those we talk about in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. In those movies, the big thing was that the world only knew Spider-Man, so it was amazing to see Spider-Man, right? Whereas once we get into the MCU, like especially after the first few years, it became a situation where okay, so the people of this world are used to seeing superheroes literally, I don't know, like every other street corner, so they don't quite get so fascinated or like blown away by the idea. Whereas, in this world, it looks like the Fantastic Four are it. They're the only superheroes. So that's what the world looks up to. They're a big deal in this world. I do enjoy that. Megamind was a great superhero movie. Thrawn Kill, it's gotten greater praise since it came out, but it definitely flopped. I'm pretty sure.
And the fact with how fucking horrible Doom Syndicate was, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah. But anyway,
so I feel like by the way, to kind of comment on what Lenny was saying,
yeah,
like pretty much it feels like it feels like they're going to be doing a reboot after Secret Wars, because that's what it kind of like. Marvel didn't do any like hard reboots like DC did. But like having all the characters be on like Battle World and like all that shit, and I have a strong feeling that they're gonna be, doing something like that, where like tons of these characters, a lot of their worlds are gonna be like wiped out, and then it's gonna all merge on one Earth, kind of like what Crisis on Infinite Earths was, but like do that for this. That's I'm willing to bet that.
Yeah. And again, I just love the interaction between the Thing and Herbie. I mean, Herbie's, yeah, we all need a little cute robot in our lives. And they got one in this movie.
Yeah.
And again, go ahead, you were gonna say.
No, yeah, I thought that was cute. At first I was like, what is it? I'm like, oh yeah, bear. Very funny.
Yep.
But I will say, Moss Baccarat kind of sounds like he's kind of sleeping through his performance a little bit. Maybe here's the thing. I don't want to judge him too harshly, because the only other thing I've seen him in was The Punisher, which he was very good in, and then The Bear, which is like so like fills you with so much fucking anxiety with how many people are fucking yelling and that energy. So when he's doing something like kind of more chill, he's like, oh, he's just kind of cooking. He's like, looking in the window. He's like, looking at his past self before he became Rockman and like all that. So it's like, is it just like him being more subdued, or does he just like, I don't really give a flying fuck about this. This is a paycheck for me. So we'll see about that. But yeah, yeah, a little bit. But I mean, that's kind of what I'm like. What is it? But we'll see.
We'll see. Again, this is a very first look in 90 seconds, so
Yes.
we can't judge it too harshly. But Liz, you saw this car. But we, of course,
it is
that's why we're
slick.
here.
That is a slick car, man. I mean, again, Mr. Incredible drives one pretty similar, so I'm for it. I'm all here for it.
And I'm finally glad, like, they're, really leaning into these, kinds of these aspects of the characters of Fantastic Four. Because we got none of this stuff. We didn't get this car. We didn't get a Herbie. All of that stuff has never made it to the live action big screen cinemas, a version of Fantastic Four. So it's good to see that they are finally leaning into it.
It's the Fantastic car, not the Fantastic Car. Come on, Ron.
I really like the hair curl angle on Pedro Pascal here. I think that's probably like one of the best
America's
shots, most
sweetheart,
underrated
Pedro
shots.
Pascal. Yes.
Space Daddy. We're gonna get into that a little bit.
Definite Space Daddy. Yeah. Space Daddy better
like
than
this
Space
shot.
Daddy. He looks so weird with like shaven. Like he doesn't look real. Like it. Like I'm so used to him with like a fucking scraggly ass beard.
You're right. Yeah. It's it looked like they did some CGI makeup on his face because it looked too
Cousin,
smooth.
what
like
the fuck are you doing watching TV? I told you to get this fucking order out right now. The fuck are you doing? Look, why are you staring at the fucking TV? Like, just there's gonna
Lenny
be
saying it's
so
kind of a flat
many,
trailer. Yeah, but
so many
I mean,
bear
hey,
references.
yeah, so many big references. But I mean, hey, we got Galactus again. This whole sequence. There's a lot of. I mean, the spaceship that they show here, that to me looked pretty sweet. What did you guys think about that?
Yeah.
Again, it's very comic booky, very different from
Really
what you
loving
would see.
all the stylizing.
I like the
Yeah,
astronaut outfits, and I like how
Yeah.
the look of it kind of reminds you of the Enterprise a little bit, like kind of that like
yeah,
three-pronged kind of vibe a little bit. Like
yeah.
and like how like the steam how breaking the sound barrier kind of gives it like a circle, kind of like the Enterprise, a little bit like a kind of. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yeah.
kind of
I'm
looks like.
digging
By
it
the
for
way,
sure.
Liz, what do you think about the question from the Truth 31? Do you think this feels like a film kids will enjoy and would warrant repeat viewings based on just the teaser?
I think it's one that like hardcore Marvel fans are gonna want to bring their kids to because, like you said, like these are the OG. Like this is like the beginning of the comics. Like Fantastic Four is what made Marvel. But I don't know. Like I think again, I'd have to see another trailer because it doesn't seem one that'll be like full of comedy. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to be like Aquaman, which was made pretty much for children, but like also with murder. So I don't know. So we'll see. This to me tonally feels a lot more serious, but the hardcore fans are still going to flock and they'll bring the family and because at the end of the day, it's a superhero movie. So we'll see what
Well,
happens.
and it is about family. So I mean, that's what they were trying to say.
Your brother never told you never threaten a man's family?
Certified indeed.
Certified family.
One detail that I noticed here, all of these guys when they're in their spacesuits, we're used to seeing the American flag, but then we're used to seeing NASA. There is no mention of NASA anywhere in these pictures. Like it's so
which
clearly
again would
another.
lead you to believe that this is another
It's a
world.
different
Yeah.
universe.
Well, yeah, it's been
It's-
confirmed that it's going to take place on another world. So
Yeah, and juicy style. I love multiverse stories too. I agree with you there. I'm excited that Marvel is finally, because this is the thing. For the longest time, Marvel has been just stuck to like where everything has to be in the MCU, guys. It's all in the MCU.
Wait, what's lime green? Yash is asking what's lime green.
What?
They said
Yucky.
What a yucky lime green color. What's lime green?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
sure.
Are they just
what
talking
you're
about your
talking about.
background? Because that's
settings.
like more of
Yeah,
a pistachio, Dan. What
Oh.
color is the walls? That's like a pistachio, like Italian
Oh,
ice
this?
kind of
Yeah,
look. That's nice.
it's
I
like
like
it's actually
that.
like a
Yeah.
mint chocolate chip. Like
Yeah,
a
mint chocolate
mint,
chip.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little.
I didn't
like
pick the
that.
color,
Is
so
that
I
what you're
wasn't
looking
able
at?
to tell you.
Because I don't see. I didn't remember any green in the trailer. Are you feeling okay, Yash? Maybe you need to get your eyes checked?
I think Yash needs to adjust their settings on the screen.
You don't need to
But-
adjust your monitor. Everything
By
is
the way,
Was
working
the
just
dress
fine.
black and blue or gold and white? You know what I mean?
Well, there is black
Anyway.
and white, but one thing I will say, Vanessa Kirby in this trailer is just so far just playing every other character Vanessa Kirby is playing. She didn't stand out to me as like somebody who was like, oh, I'm Invisible Woman, and I like she didn't disappear into the role. But then again, 90-second teaser, whereas like Eben Moss-Bachrach, because simply you just don't see him half the time. He's like the thing. I get it, but like a lot of the times, like Vanessa Kirby's performance, I was like, let's wait till the movie comes out and see what she has to add. I forget which artist that those hanging fixtures are like homage to. We see those sculptures all the time in different galleries, but that was nice. I pointed that out when I saw the trailer. And they're walking through the room, and there's like those little veins hanging in the air. I do again appreciate this room and the 60s 70s retro vibe, the Baxter Building. And then again, this little shot in the middle, I think we're going to get into that in a little bit because that's a reference to something very specific. But here, the Screen Rant, as they always do, they kind of bullet pointed the trailer out for us. So I just wanted to kind of, again, point out a few things that we haven't talked about so far. For example, you really get... That's a night.
I'm in night mode. It doesn't look green to me.
Well, that explains it, Yash. There you are.
Are
Okay.
you
Glad we
okay,
cleared
dude?
that up.
That's great. Okay.
It's
But
late.
dude,
It's
Michael
late.
Giacchino obviously did the score. Remember in the Superman trailer, we were like, "Oh, right, this is a version of the John Williams score." And it's sort of like, remember the John Williams music literally spells out Superman. It's like da 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 Superman without saying it. But in this one, there's almost like this chanting thing, the Fantastic Four, and like it's like the whole thing plays out. Like that I noticed it more and more after like I'm like, "Oh, wait, that's what is that?" I really enjoyed that. I'm. It's not quite. Again, this trailer it didn't feel as iconic to me, like as emotionally affecting. But again, it's a teaser trailer. Like you can't like judge the movie on a teaser trailer alone. But
Well, I
it's
also think
still
it's
the
too
audio
like
cues were great.
the buildups have been completely different. Like we've been hearing a
Yes.
ton about Superman. James didn't shut up about Superman. He was on the freaking internets, on the socials, like hourly. Whereas here, again, they just revealed the cast and basically nothing else for the longest
Yeah.
time. And then all of a sudden they
And
were
we
like,
got like a
here's a
little bit
trailer
of
for
the
your ass.
set when they did
Right.
that, like, oh, look at the cast
Yeah.
filming the movie now. So
Their marketing teams have been completely different because again,
yes.
Marvel has been focusing on getting Cap out, now getting Thunderbolts out, whereas James has been all in on Superman. Yes, he's got the other
Well, yeah,
projects
because
going
it's the
on, but
start of
Yeah,
a universe, and we haven't
right,
had
but
any other
right,
they've
major
also
exactly.
got
No,
things
like
yet.
other
100%.
things in
Yeah,
production. Anyway, sorry.
yeah.
Let's not get into a
This, yeah,
Marvel versus
sure.
DC thing just yet.
Fantastic Four. This is going to be a new Fantastic Four. So it
Yes.
is. There is that similarity of like it's
Right.
reintroducing popular characters, but we also have like 15 years of Marvel. Yeah, sure. This is like reintroducing familiar characters, but we've also got like 15 years of a universe now, multiverse of the MCU. While they're like, yeah, okay, we got Creature Commandos, but like they're going full in on Superman. They're reintroducing this character, they're redoing their cinematic universe. So it's like there's a lot more riding on Superman, but there's also a lot riding on Fantastic Four, maybe even more, maybe even more so than Superman. I don't know. It's
I
kind
don't
of
know. I
I
feel
keep
like
going back and forth, but
I feel
it,
like they know Marvel will always get butts in seats regardless. Like, I mean, even
yeah.
their worst films did pretty well because people will just show up for them. So I don't think that they're invested as much. Like James has something to prove. James wants Superman to come back with a bang.
True that.
He wants to have multiple films stem from this. He's trying to restart DC completely, whereas Marvel's like, we can do whatever we want and we're still going to make money. We're still going to generate, fans coming to the theater, buying the toys, buying the popcorn buckets. Like they don't have to worry about that. They've been a well-established brand for decades now. And they're just kind of like, we're going to do what we want to do. And if you like it, great. And if not, like, you're still going to come see our next film. Like, I'm the perfect example for that. I'm going to see everything. So I just don't think the marketing strategies are just completely different. So again, that's why, we're all kind of seeing this trailer and we're like, but that's also because they haven't built it up worth a damn in all this time.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, Ron's mom liked the Superman trailer better. Apparently, she just saw both of them.
Ron, you better take
Um,
your mom to see Superman. Don't make her go by herself. You better take her.
By the way, TC24 calling you out, Liz.
Excuse me, I
Marvel's a
loved the
short
Marvels.
fire.
I loved the Marvels,
Yeah,
so
but
I
it
don't
didn't
even
make
want to hear
money.
it.
That's the
And I
thing.
also didn't have an issue with Quantumania either, so whatever. Well,
Well,
again, they didn't make the money that people think they should as a Marvel film, but they still made enough money that Marvel was like, yeah, we're gonna keep making these. Like, there's no,
Well,
if
they're
it
not
made
gonna kill the MCU over
$0, then
one
maybe
flop.
they would rethink. But again, there are toys, there are spin-offs, they don't care because their job right now is to connect all the pieces to continue to build up this world and make people, sign on to all of this stuff. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, even Thor: Love and Thunder made like over $700 million. So,
Right.
yeah, but like Lenny said, I mean, basically this movie is building. It feels like it's the beginning of a new era of like creating a new set of bringing a new set of characters out, and then moving forward in a way that I feel like all of Marvel hasn't really quite done since Avengers Endgame. Whereas this is probably feels like a bigger effort to do that than we have seen up until this point. With that in mind, yeah, I mean, juice style. Why do I keep saying juicy style? Juice style. The MCU still produces hits. But by the way, this shot in the trailer, I have it up. I don't know where this is. This is some kind of
It
tomb
looks
that
like an
they're walking
alleyway, like
through.
they're running away in an alleyway of some
Or is that
sort.
an alleyway?
Maybe.
Was that okay? I was
Or
totally
yeah,
misreading
or
that
maybe they're on a spaceship or something. Yeah.
because that
But
one
no,
of these
but
characters is the
again,
Thing.
Marvel
But
churns
yeah,
out so much that they can afford to have a dud. They don't care. They don't,
yeah,
Yeah, and Disney doesn't get their main income from movies. They get it from the
right,
parks.
yeah.
So it's like
By
they
the way,
can make
that
right.
shot
10
of
bombs
the
in a row and
Right.
it won't matter. Same with Apple like TV Plus. They can make like 20 fucking movies and shows that suck, but they
Right.
make billions and trillions of dollars from their fucking phones. So it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Exactly.
But by the way, that shot at the very
Amazon
top
Prime,
here,
so you know.
where the Thing is running, that looks very similar to how they've shown the Hulk running, and it's also very similar to how the Thing usually is shown running in the comics. So I really like that too. That looked nice to me. What did you guys think about this shot?
I mean,
It's
the
fine.
the legs are off, but other than that,
Yeah,
There's maybe some clipping a little bit, but
yeah,
that's okay.
one
yeah.
leg is really much longer than the other, so I don't know, but yeah.
It's a little bit of a perspective. Yes, hopefully that will improve as they continue.
Well, and
Um,
Superman has a lazy eye, so we can't all be winners, gang. What are you gonna do?
exactly. Fair enough.
Caleb, exactly. Little quote from Tommy Boy there. I could take a crap on the floor, but if it has the Marvel sticker on it, 700 million at least. Exactly.
Well, they've earned that over the years. They've earned it. I do appreciate again a lot of the retro, futuristic elements, but we have to talk about this. Oh, by the way, welcome to the family, Marvel Studios, the Fantastic Four.
Brother never told you never threaten a man's family?
But I have questions. I'm wondering what the popcorn bucket's going to be. Will it be the car? Will
It's
it be
just going to be
Galactus's
Pedro
head?
Pascal's face, and then the opening is going to be the mouth, just like the Deadpool
mouth,
one. And that's going to be another Doonacy for a lot of people out
You
there.
guys are terrible. Y'all are terrible. Just terrible. Just terrible. I think it's either going to be Galactus's head or it's
John,
that would be real because it's kind of shaped like a bucket. Yeah,
it'll either be that or it'll be the car.
But if it is, maybe the unofficial
that might be
version
riding
is gonna
off
be Pedro
of Barbie,
Pascal's
so
head.
they might not.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
They might.
But John, you see, the real question is, if it is Pedro Pascal's head and the mouth is where you get the popcorn from, will he have his teeth out or not? See, that's the real question once you get into anyway.
All right. You know what?
If you're getting your dick sucked, do you want teeth in there? Like,
I'm leaving.
Like, bro, like, come on. Like, do you have like a kink, a weird kink or something?
No,
man?
I was like, if you're gonna go there, I'm gonna like just take you the rest of the way. Anyway,
the thing is, no one needs to go there, though. That's the thing. No one needs to be going there.
I'm just saying, I didn't start it.
I'm just curious who the fuck John Malkovich is. I didn't even realize he was in the movie. Is he Mole Man?
No, that's a question a lot of people are asking. They're like, "Oh, he's this mysterious character all of a sudden." Wonder what if he's, like Pedro Pascal in the future or something, or another world, or we just don't know. We just don't know. We're gonna have to go see it to find out.
I mean, any ideas like as to who this character might be? Like, is there a story where we can pick this out from the comics? Like, any references we can look at?
I mean, probably. I'm sure there's fan theories all over the world right now, but again, let's wait until the next trailer we get, and maybe we'll get some more information.
I mean, I know like Mole Man. As I said, I know Mole Man is going to be in it, but that might be Paul.
Figure drawing saying he's KGB from Rounders. That's great. Rounders, okay. He enters the door to John Malkovich's
character, says Thrawn Kill. So.
Okay. So, but not quite Doctor Doom. Okay. All right.
Maybe it's a variant. Who knows? from the future.
Could be. In which case, maybe the Doctor Doom that we're getting is not from the world of the Fantastic Four, because that's the speculation that the Doctor Doom is from their world, because it makes sense as Doctor Doom, Fantastic Four. But for all we
Right.
know, the RDJ's Doctor Doom comes from a completely different world than, because since we are in the multiverse, after all. Yeah, dude, Rounders isn't a great movie, but it is an absolute classic. I agree with you 100% figure drawing. Let's keep the ball rolling here, shall we? I mean, again, more looks at, the cinematography, the shots, the Baxter building. I appreciate all the architecture, a lot of like stuff to get into. But what I also appreciated was this clear homage to the Beatles, which Inverse pointed out that you see here, the Beatles performing on a set that looked very similar to what you see here. And again, just going back to the 60s, you might as well. The Beatles were the biggest thing in the 60s, one of the biggest things. I mean, outside of, the astronauts who actually landed on the moon and stuff. But which is, we were getting that here
Well,
too.
not in For
So why
All
not give them the
Mankind, though.
Beatles? Oh, dude, I'm not talking about the alternate history.
I
But
know.
what I'm saying is,
I'm just
this
dropping
shot,
a show you like.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. But I think the point of this reference is that in the world of the Fantastic Four, they are the rock stars, right? Like they are the stars, like the Beatles were. Like they're the ones they put on the pedestal. Which to me, I'm like, wouldn't we all love to live in that kind of a retro futuristic world where like space exploration was? We were going to Mars tomorrow, and we had bases on the moon and shit. Like where you can go visit and stay. Like it seems like that's what they're going for here, and I appreciate it. I love it. What did you guys think about this shot? Do you think this is like a TV show in that world? Like, because they're wearing the Forge as part of their astronaut costume, is that their space agency, the Four, whatever that might be? Are they going to be called the Fantastic Four in the movie? Or is that one of those things they're going to downplay a little bit? Like, oh, what do we call it? I think we could call
it'd
you
be funny if it
Superman.
was like,
It's
I bet they're like gonna do like a fucking Marvel thing, because Marvel can't like do anything straightforward anymore. They have to do everything tongue in cheek, where like they're going up and like, oh, the marketing boys are gonna want to call you the Fantastic Four, and it's like, oh, that's a fucking stupid title. What are you talking about? And then at the end, they're like, we're the Fantastic Four. Like it's I mean, it could be worse. It could be like the 2015 movie. I think it's fantastic. What'd you just say? End credits. It's like, oh god. God, that's fucking cringy. Anyway.
I actually want to see
Dr. Doom.
I want to see all of the characters do like those old school like Colgate commercials and stuff. Like I want to see the Thing like holding up like a thing of like Colgate or you know what I mean, or
I
like
mean,
a Dr. Pepper ad.
Who said it
I think that'd
before?
be
I
cute
think
as
was
shit.
it Yash or was it somebody else that said they look like toothpaste tubes?
Yeah.
So that works.
By the way, one thing I wanted to point out earlier, which I think is worth pointing out even now, is this is the first MCU movie since 2021's Eternals where none of the main characters have appeared in a previous movie. That's interesting. So again, a new beginning, and they're really trying to go in a new direction.
Eternals is not the best comparison.
I know it's not the best comparison, but I mean, the point they're trying to make is not to do with the quality of the movie necessarily, but more so the fact that, again, Marvel has not been able to escape itself of late. And this movie hopefully is doing that because it's in a different timeline. Because even in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, we saw other variants of the characters we already know rather than just entirely new characters. So other than America Chavez, there was a few of them, but like again, all the leads were people we knew and were familiar with. Speaking of which, Matt Shakman, of course, WandaVision is what he did to earn his right to do the Fantastic Four. And I just like the comparison between the two posters. He's kind of, that's his thing. I guess that explains why he got hired to do this movie. So and that was, by the way, one of my favorite posters, the one with all the TVs and all those little looks at the characters. I really appreciated that. And if you zoom in here, you see this 4. It's their names. It's in one of the posters: Richard, Storm, Grimm. So yeah, I mean, is there a space agency? Are they the space agency? Are they a private enterprise? What is the deal? We'll see. But guys, now we have basically gotten our first looks. I don't know what Dr. Verse is. I just sort of invented it on the fly. Maybe now we'll make a movie about it.
Well,
But
I mean,
guys,
so even though there's no mention of NASA, NASA does have, custom patches for like every
mission,
every trip that
yeah,
every mission. So I'm wondering if maybe that's where their logo initially comes from, like that was the mission that they were on, and then
yeah,
they take that as their on there as their logo. We'll see. But anyway, let's move
yeah.
on.
So there's 3 movies coming out in July 2025. And again, Smooth Life asking the question, how is Fantastic Four going to outperform Superman? Because when you look at the order of release, Culture Crave, as always, putting together a great graphic for us. So this is what July is going to look like at the box office. July 2nd, Jurassic World Rebirth comes out. And then July 11th, Superman comes out. And then July 25th is where Fantastic Four First Steps comes out. So all of a sudden, you're looking at, 3 weeks of release, where Jurassic World is going to have been playing in movie theaters for about 3 weeks, and Superman is going to have been in movie theaters for 2 weeks by the time Fantastic Four comes out. Will it have the juice to push through the competition? Will it? I mean, it can always have a great first weekend, opening weekend, but we have seen in recent times with the Marvels, with Quantumania, that not every Marvel movie is a given as a home run. It's not a guaranteed success. Like you still have huge opening
Well,
weekends,
and
but not
people
always
and
get to that like big number that you're
Well, and
looking
people
for.
just don't go to the movies as often either. I mean, even John has
Yes,
had that situation where he sits back and he goes, "Okay, I have this day free. I have to choose between 4 or 5 different films." So nobody's going to the theater on a weekly basis like I do, for example. So like
right.
people that
I
are
try to
going to
go on a
go.
weekly basis, but
Well, but I'm saying the average person goes maybe a
we don't know if
handful of
that's the
times a
case, Juice.
year. They don't go regularly. And when you have 3 movies back to back like this, they're going to have to make decisions because again, and they're all going to you're going to be there for at least 2 hours. So they have to, people are really, sacred with their time these days. And not a lot of people are going to be like, oh, well, I was just at the movie last week, so I don't need to go again. People are going to be making that decision as to what matters most, also based on whether or not they can bring their family, whether or not their partner wants to
Yeah,
see it, all of those kinds of factors as well. So, I mean, on the one hand, it's good for Fantastic Four that it's last because their trailer will play in front of Jurassic World. It'll play in front of Superman. So they'll have that entire month to try and get butts and seats. But a lot of people are going to sit there and say, if I'm already in the theater right now, I'm not coming back in a week or 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens.
if I were to take a guess, because there are some people that are going to pick and choose, but there are going to some people, because the thing is, Superman and Fantastic Four are big enough with DC and Marvel. I mean, if Barbie and Oppenheimer can have good competition where both movies
They
either
both almost. I mean,
exceeded
one
or
made a
got
billion.
close to $1
Yes.
billion, and then now you're bringing the superhero thing. Yeah, sure, you could make the argument, like, oh, superhero fatigue, but like Fantastic Four, we haven't gotten a movie in 10 years. Superman movie, we haven't gotten one in 12 years. And so that might be some stigma. And it's like all new, all different for Superman. And then and then Fantastic Four is like its own thing. So I feel like there are going to be some people that on the 25th that they're going to see both Superman and Fantastic Four. I have a strong feeling that that's going to be the case, where I think Superman is going to have a strong opening weekend. I think it's going to do even better on the 25th.
Because there'll be a lot of interest.
I think that's gonna. I think it's gonna be kind of like a, I scratch your back, you scratch mine type of thing, where I feel like Superman is gonna help Fantastic Four, and Fantastic Four is gonna help Superman. Like at least with like the first couple of weeks, both are coming out. So that's what I think. Now I don't know. Like everyone's saying, oh, it's gonna be. I really don't know. Because it's like both have stigmas of like the DCEU was a failure, the Snyderverse was a failure. DC's kind of in not a great place, but Superman is in a good place. You have My Adventures with Superman, and you have Superman and Lois, which is a good place for the character. And so that might help it a little bit. I know a lot of people watched Superman and Lois, but that might help it. But then you also have like a lot of stigma behind it. Fantastic Four, same way. You had 4 trash movies behind it. The MCU is doing okay, but not as good as
it's not what it was
early and like pre 2019.
I'm almost I'm almost tempted to say I feel like Jurassic World will do better than the other two because there are people out there that want nothing to do with superhero movies as well. However, there has been so many damn Jurassic World movies at this point that it's
Last one
almost
made
like
a
Planet.
billion though.
But it's almost like Planet of the Apes to me, where I think for most people they'll be like, if I have the time, I'll go see it, but if not, I'll catch it in streaming because this is like Jurassic World 10 now, whatever. But like you said, John, like we've been waiting for another iteration of Superman. We've been waiting, hopefully, for a better version of Fantastic Four. So I think people are going to see both of those just purely out of curiosity. You know what I mean?
But yeah, I think that I think that will help. I mean, as we do have America's Sweetheart,
Jurassic
Space
World has
Daddy.
Scarlett Johansson and the guy that was just in Wicked. I mean, they've had a pretty
Look, star
significant cast
power.
too.
The star power doesn't quite take you as far as it used to.
It does not take you
so
as
to
far.
answer your question,
No, that's true. Yeah,
I think it will help a little bit, at least a little bit for Fantastic Four.
But dude, it's Superman, right? Like if it were comparing it to like another DC character, like, but if you're talking Batman, Superman, it's Superman, you know. So like I'm like that itself, like, and then of course like you know when you guys were saying like Superman second lead, Thrawn Kilset are more known in the popular than Fantastic. So we're like, you know, Nicholas Hoult is in that movie. You've got Nathan Fillion, who's, you know, a pretty good big star in his own right, even though he's not really a big movie star necessarily. But you know, you've got quite a few, you know, big name actors in that movie as well. And of course, Rachel Brosnahan has a lot of, you know, goodwill with the fans. So yeah, Lenny's like, Liz, are you reading my mind? Oh my God, TC24 is like F4, we're gonna get F5 by Superman. Great. Star power culture is dead, according to Ron. And I mean, I don't think it's all the way dead, but it's
that.
Well, and again, the way we
Jonathan
see
Bailey
movies.
is relative. That's very interesting. Is that
She was
true? Or are
kidding.
you
But
pulling her?
no, she said she was kidding. But again,
Oh, okay.
the way that we see movies,
I
the
didn't see
way
the
we stream content is so completely different now too that it really can be anybody's game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's at the end of the day, there's enough money at the box office in the summer months, especially in July, like you're smack dab in the middle of it, which is the reason why these three movies are scheduled for that time, that all of these movies could do well as long as they're good movies, you know? And yeah, I mean, Nathan Fillion, like you said, Lenny, has a big fan base. Just some you guys saying Fantastic Four's cast will also help me because I've constantly been told I resemble Pedro Pascal. I might cosplay as Reed Richards for Comic-Con. Good on you, my friend. We will see you at Comic-Con and we'll get your autograph for sure.
I also think,
yeah.
you know, because there was the question about Fantastic Four being a family-friendly film. I mean, I would question that about Superman as well, because Superman looks, you know, a lot more serious. And so that also depends too, if people can bring their entire family or not. So we're gonna, you know, we'll have to wait and see for the reviews and that kind of thing. Because even the Jurassic World, well, even Jurassic World, you would think like, oh, you're gonna bring the kids, but some kids would be terrified of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. So it's a toss-up for me right now.
Yeah. You know what's not a toss-up is that Pedro Pascal is Space Daddy. And it's the reason.
He sure is.
Because he's going to space in basically 4 out of those 5
He's
movies.
a space zaddy. So
Zaddy.
He's a zaddy.
I mean, The Last of Us Season 2 doesn't go to
sweetheart.
space. I don't know if he's going to space in The Last of Us Season 2, but everything else, it looks like he is.
That would be an interesting. Honestly, it could be. That would probably improve Last of Us too. You know,
we got Hosea in the chat. Hello, Hosea. A little late, but
Dovey. Hello, sir or ma'am. But yeah, hello, Hosea. I'm late. Rugby. Get out of here with that commie bullshit. Anyway,
get in the scrum. Very nice.
I like rugby. It's a tough sport. But I mean, Hosea saying, I'm late. Rugby training. Trailer had a lot of charm. The thing looking at the TV was heartbreaking. Yes, that's going to be one of those moments where I'm like, he could be the soul of this movie. They played that really well with Michael Chiklis in the original Fantastic Four movies.
Yeah.
And I think it just completely went missing in the Fan Four Stick. So I'm hoping to get back to that more essential character development. Yeah. But I will still say, for me, the Fantastic Four trailer didn't hit as well as the Superman trailer did.
It's a good trailer. It's a good trailer.
It is a good trailer. But like again, my opinion of the Superman trailer has improved. I remember I gave it a rating of like 7.5. So since we are on the subject of ratings now that I've mentioned it, what do you guys rate this trailer as? Let's say out of 10, what would your rating be for the Fantastic Four trailer?
It's just like a 7. It's
Yeah,
a 4 out of 5.
Oh boy.
No, I think it's like a 7 out of 10. Like,
Yeah, I feel like it's
good.
a 7 for me right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think for me it's probably also a 7.5 right now. Like it did enough to get me excited, but not.
Right.
It didn't get me out of my chair like, oh my God, this thing is the greatest thing since sliced bread or Superman. I
It's
don't
just
know,
the
whatever.
greatest
Like
thing since
it-
Superman.
Superman, yeah. But hey, you know what? This wasn't the only trailer that dropped today. On a much smaller note by comparison, I suppose, we got our first trailer for Hurry Up Tomorrow, which stars The Weeknd, Jenna Ortega. Anyway, The Weeknd, Jenna Ortega, and Barry Keoghan. It comes out May 16th. What did you guys think about this trailer? I wanted to get your opinion on it. It looked interesting. It looked really like twisty, and like they had that Inception shot at the beginning with the buildings upside down. What did you think about this, John?
Didn't watch it. Don't care.
Okay, that almost became a quick hit there. Liz, did you see the trailer? What did you think about it?
I did because I do my homework. It looks it looks twisted. It looks interesting. I mean, Barry does not do normal films, so there's going to be twists and turns. There's going to be some extra psychodrama, like it says in the title there. So it'll be interesting. And I'm actually interested to see how The Weeknd does in a film. I don't recall him being in any other, TV or movie shows, or, before TV or movie shows. So that'll be interesting. And same thing, Jenna Ortega kind of likes to do some, out of box projects. So we'll see. I mean, I'll see it for sure.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to it as well because the trailer looked nice. I mean, The Weeknd, the last couple of things he's done outside of the Super Bowl halftime show, I have not been the biggest fan of, but we'll
Wasn't
see
he in that
how
like Lily Rose Depp miniseries that sucked beyond belief?
Yeah, he was.
Wasn't like that miniseries was like sometimes abusive relationships is okay or whatever the fuck that was.
It was something like that. I chose to just completely avoid it. But you know what? Yes, thank you. Now let's move on to the next story. I mean, yeah, that trailer's nice. We'll see the movie when it comes out. Fantastic Four was really what we were here for. But you know what? The Oscars are about to be here, and Emilia Perez, the movie has generated a lot of controversy recently because of Carla Sofia Gasson, her comments that were, I mean, some of them were recent, some of them were old, Twitter posts that got dug up, and they just were, not very, let's just say, just not very
They were ignorant.
good. They were ignorant. There were, the word bigoted has been thrown around. It's just, so as a result of that, it looks like Netflix is now distancing themselves from her. She was supposed to be in Hollywood for the coming week of activities, including like the AFI Awards luncheon, and she was going to be at like the DGA Awards, I believe, as well. And all these shows that are all these award shows that are happening leading up to the Oscars. Yeah. And it looks like Netflix is like, stay in Spain, which is, where she resides. And instead of coming over to the US for all these activities, they're distancing themselves from literally, the actress who plays the character that the movie is named after, Emilia Perez. What did you think about this news, Liz? Do you think this is just a natural, transition? Because she's also said a few things since all of those tweets got dug up, which was, beyond seemingly Netflix's control. Like Netflix's PR team really hasn't jumped on this, and their choice seems to be, we're just going to distance ourselves from this rather than try to fix whatever the situation. They're just like, we're not going to address it. Yeah, we're just going to pretend she's not going to be in the movie, even though she's nominated for the best actress at the Oscars.
Well, again, I mean, the movie itself is very controversial. They keep trying to kind of market it as a film about trans issues when it's not in the slightest. And in fact, like the trans character that they're referring to is actually not a great person, not a wholesome person. Right. There's a lot of, mixed feelings that people get when they see this film. However, I thought the acting was phenomenal. I still believe that Zoe Saldana is the one that's going to win of all the awards that they are nominated for. But unfortunately, because the film got a weird mixed, review from fans and people watching it, and then all of this controversy on top of it. It's not a surprise to me that they said, you know what, you can't be the face of this film. She did come out with what I felt was a real heartfelt apology, recognizing her mistakes. And listen, a lot of those tweets were from 4 years or even further back. If you don't change as a person in 4 years, maybe you need to rethink some things. But I, not that I'm defending any of the things that she had said, but the fact that she did come out and say, yeah, I'm owning it. It was wrong. I've made mistakes. I'm learning. I'm going to do better. But this film had some issues right off the bat in the first place. So it didn't exactly give people the warm and fuzzies as they're kind of trying to market it. Like again, they're really trying to say that this is a trans story, and it's not at all. So the whole direction of this campaign from the beginning has been off. I mean, it's a shame for her. Even, like, again, Zoe Saldana had said, she's disappointed, and her heart breaks because this is somebody that she worked with, that she developed a friendship with, and now she has to think differently about this person. So it's a shame, but again, if you put negative shit out into the world, you can't be surprised that it might come back to bite you later on. So the best thing to do is be kind or shut the fuck up. That's the lesson people should be learning from these things.
I mean, it's just, again, it's crazy that a lot of actors, like, seeing everything that has happened. Anybody who's in the public eye, you gotta, like, make sure that, even if you said something reprehensible in the past and you were ignorant to some things, and you have learned better since, go and look at your previous social media history and clean that shit up, because people will dig it up. And
well,
I'm
again,
surprised that
it's not even a
Netflix
matter of
didn't.
cleaning it up. I mean, Kevin Hart had done that. He had deleted some stuff, and it's still, don't put that shit out in the world unless you are marketing yourself as a scumbag, dirtbag, ignorant asshole that's never going to change. If you want to be a Proud Boy, not to get political, but if that's what you're doing, then own it and move along. But if you are going to put something out there that 10 years, 20 years, 5 years from now is going to jeopardize your career, is going to make people look at you in the wrong light, well, then maybe we should be rethinking the things that we're putting out in social media. Just saying.
I mean, it's like literally everything you put on the internet lives forever, right? Like, there's the archives and stuff. Like, people will hold on to that. They will come after you. But just, I mean, just do better.
And it is
That's what it comes
enterprise.
down
It
to.
is
Just do better.
self-destructive behavior. And again, sometimes people end up, again, we all go through different manifestations, right? Like, some people can come from a really bad, dark place where they've made bad decisions. And clearly that's something that has happened here with this actress. But like I said, she has owned it. She has apologized. She now has to try and pick up the pieces and do some damage control and move on. And hopefully this is a life lesson for her and for other people that are seeing things like this. Again, you would have thought people would have learned back with the Kevin Hart controversy all those years ago, but people are going to people, we're humans at the end of the day. So
it's just unfortunate because now, like, not only because one of the things this article points out, rightfully so, is this controversy has affected not only her chances of winning Best Actress, but this is definitely going to have an effect on all the other, nominees. Like, this movie led the field with 13 nominations at the Oscars, and the voting is still going on. And as a result of this controversy, which all of that stuff got dug up probably right now for a reason, because there was a lot of people out there who did not enjoy the movie, so I'm sure they went looking. It's kind of like when somebody runs for political office and then stuff gets dug up right then. Why didn't it come up before? Because it was a little opportunistic, but at the same time, because of all of this movie is probably now out of the race for winning Best Picture. It's probably not going to win a lot of the other awards.
A friend of mine
it has an
expects
effect
it
on all these
to.
other people.
A friend of mine expects it not to win a single thing. Again, I hope Zoe wins. I think she's the best option for her category, but it's a real shame. I mean, as far as like screenplay, the music, all of that stuff, it does put everything in jeopardy because it makes everybody look at it differently now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, perfectly put by Fiona. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. It's just, I mean, this movie could have literally gotten like half a dozen or so awards, and now it looks like it's probably not going to win much. And like you said, Zoe Saldana might still win in her category because she did win at the Golden Globe. She's, clearly distanced herself from the situation.
Yeah, she separated.
Yeah.
So yeah, but hey, you know what? With that, we've come to the end of the news section of the show. But nonetheless, we are now going to move into a slightly more fun part of the news section. Not that what we were doing was not fun, but John, why don't you hit that quick hits music, and we shall get into the quick hits. I love the quick hits. Don't you guys love the quick hits? Let's talk about the quick hits, shall we? Speaking of the quick hits, okay, well, I gotta actually get to the headline here. Not to Sly Stallone. Oh God. Okay, we're gonna start off with some controversial quick hits. Maybe controversial, but not on the face of it. Biden signs with powerhouse Hollywood talent agency CAA. Is Uncle Joe gonna show up in the next Up sequel? I don't know, John. What are your thoughts on this?
Hold on, I had to unmute myself because I'm eating, and apparently, Liz was yelling at me backstage because I didn't mute myself while I was eating, so now I have to mute myself.
You've also been
now.
drinking, so like it's
yeah. So I think it's like amusing, but I think it's like we were saying, like all jokes aside, I assume it's like a marketing PR kind of thing.
It's probably that he might be doing something where Caleb, like 30-minute quick hits. Let's go. Exactly. He might be doing like a new book, like adaptation or something.
That's
right?
what
like
I think he's got a book coming out.
So
yeah.
It's
yeah, or maybe he's going to start producing like Obama and Michelle did. Maybe there's some projects that he's going to produce. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. We got cricket talk in the chat. I'm sure there's a new test series coming up. I would love to see.
I guess in the sport or the bug?
The sport. I think Lenny and Ron were asking. Anyway, Jurassic World Rebirth will feature a new mutant dinosaur species. It appears in the trailer, and the design is inspired by a T-Rex, a Rancor, and a Xenomorph. Thoughts?
I have heard that. Well, one of the rumors I heard, probably total bullshit, but it was one of the things considered for Jurassic Park 4 before it became Jurassic World, was mutant human dinosaur hybrids. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
But I would suspect something like okay, we got to go bigger. We had Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Ian Malcolm or Jeff Goldblum all in one movie last time. Well, we got to go bigger. Mutants! Let's go. Let's do that. So that's one thing I think they're going to be doing.
Well, they were working on merging the different dinosaur species together to make a super dinosaur. So it wouldn't be.
It just feels like the next step.
Yeah, it would just be par for the course. Yeah. They just take it one step further.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, talking about taking it one step further, you know who I think is going to take things one step further? Mahershala Ali is going to do his best Samuel Jackson bit, and he's going to have all the fun in this movie. I'm still looking forward to this. The man didn't get a Blade movie, but he's going to have fun in this film. And like John said, he's probably going to die a gruesome, horrible death that's going to make us laugh our asses off.
Black guy always dies first. It's just the rule.
He might survive. Or maybe might be the only one that survives. You don't know.
Maybe they will just flip the tables on us, and maybe like Jonathan Bailey's character dies. Flip the script, flip the tables, flip the script. But these are new looks at the movie, and it's looking good. I'm telling you, like, you got Scarlett Johansson, you got Mahershala Ali.
It just looks like another Jurassic Park movie to me. I mean, there's really nothing more to say.
But honestly, every single Jurassic World movie has made $1 billion, so I think I'm okay with that. These movies will be just fine. All right, let's keep the ball rolling here. We got lots more to talk about. So the next quick hit that we have to get into, of course, is Mickey 17, which comes out soon. And recently, Bong Joon-ho was naming the three roles, three fingers, that made him see Robert Pattinson on another level as an actor: The Batman, Good Time, and The Lighthouse. Are you excited to see Robert Pattinson in Mickey 17? And do you think these are three of his best performances?
Fuck yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a goofy statement because the only thing you saw him in before that was the Twilight franchise. So, like, those are the only things he did after.
He was Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter and the Cloud of Fire.
Thank you. That's fair. Yes, that's fair.
But
he
like
was also
10 minutes,
for 5 minutes, right? And then he died. So, yeah. Anyway.
That, by the way, is the comment of the day.
Needs a spoon fuck of marmalade?
Spoonful of marmalade.
I understand what you were saying.
We had some
but it still
Paddington
comes
chat
off.
earlier going on. But no, I mean, I love R-Pax. I love the Batman, as you all know. I'm so excited for Mickey 17. That movie looks
Lenny's
so fun.
gunning for another lady for her YouTube harem. Let's go.
Okay.
All the feels.
Great. All right,
along.
let's keep moving along, like Liz said. So, oh god, Mr. Beast's brutal Amazon show Beast Games is breaking Gen Z, and that is a shot from the show. It is literally crazy how like trumpeted up all the emotions are in this show. And I'll be honest with you, like I was shown the first episode today, and I was like, you know what? This show's kind of rough around the edges in terms of the format. It literally feels like Mr. Beast was just given like carte blanche with the budget, you know, and he just did whatever he wanted, and it feels like one of his videos. So it's like you were going into,
Isn't he funding everything entirely himself?
Yeah, I think so, but like the polish of it feels like it's gonna be one of those shows that you see that's like Netflix, like Squid Game, for example, right? Which is not the Squid Game, the reality show, not the TV series. But then you see the show and you're like, it's a little rough around the edges. Like this feels like it's produced by Mr. Beast. Like not like they brought in professional producers, but like his team and his group of 5 friends are doing it. I don't know. I mean, have you guys seen it? What did you guys think about this show?
No.
Don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I've never been a fan of Mr. Beast. Like, yes, I've heard he does some really nice things, but you can be a millionaire and still be mid, and that's how I feel about him. I feel like he's just a
And honestly, that's a step above a lot of other millionaires and billionaires being
right,
mid and not the worst human being on planet Earth.
I just think he's a tryhard, and his chocolate tastes like absolute shit. So I've never had any interest in the man. Sorry.
I don't know. I mean,
Fiona is a sadist, confirmed.
Fiona loves like the worst of the worst when it comes to reality shows, though. So I get it. Like,
yeah,
I don't do reality shows very much. I just because I have so many other things to watch, like that are all like in a list that is never ending. That I will never get to reality shows part of the list.
Right.
Well, there you go. By the way, my favorite flavor of chocolate is probably Cadbury, but like Hershey's is good too. I usually like dark chocolate, but sometimes milk chocolate works as well.
Excuse me.
Cadbury's overrated. There, I said it.
I'm coming to defend myself on this.
Fiona has a thing or two to say about her taste in TV shows.
She does watch RuPaul's Drag Race, but she also does watch really horrible reality TV shows. Let's just keep it real.
She's calling out your Drag Race.
I'm not calling it out, Dan. I'm not calling it out.
That is the best of the best.
I'm not calling it out.
Yes, Lenny. Facts. Cadbury's is overrated.
Thank you. I hate Cadbury's, Lenny. Thank you. I hate Cadbury's, but Hershey is absolute shit too. Anyway, no. I did not call out Drag Race, Dan. I said Drag Race was the exception. I said Drag Race was the exception.
Talking about Drag Race?
You will not misquote me. Anyway,
I'm not misquoting you, Liz. I mean, you're gonna need to go watch the show.
You need to. Let's move it along.
Well, so Marvel has teased the resurrection of Wanda Maximoff.
Cadbury can't even be categorized as chocolate.
No, Cadbury and Hershey both suck.
Get the fuck out of my face with that shit. If you can't even be categorized as chocolate, then shut it.
Both Cadbury and Hershey are absolute trash. Trash. Cadbury and Hershey are trash. Trash. All day.
Oh, man.
I will die on that hill too. I will die on that hill.
I mean, Lenny,
Anyway.
I think you might have lost Fiona over that one.
Oh shit! I didn't say that. I'm not going. I love Drag Race. Fiona, I love Drag Race. Don't come for me. Don't come for me. Drag Race, yes. Cadbury, no. Let's be clear. I want to be clear.
I'm just saying, look, Cadbury and Hershey, they have different tastes. I like my chocolate in different flavors. I'm okay with that.
Anyway.
Oh well. What were we talking about? Oh yes.
WandaVision. Woo!
Yeah.
Now Fiona's going off in the chat. She's clocking the chat. All right. WandaVision. So actually, Wanda Maximoff is coming back, according to Marvel. But guess what? She's not coming back in the MCU. She's coming back in the comics. That's right. They are doing a new story where she might, the WandaVision from the MCU becomes the TVA's next big villain. Thoughts?
Okay. Shocker. Not really. This is kind of what they've been
Don't care.
This is where they've been taking her character, so okay.
Okay.
Why John is about Gordon Ramsay.
Her eyes look weird.
I mean, like, if you killed my space robot boyfriend and then tried to sell his body for parts, I'd be pretty pissed off too. So, okay.
Oh, Zelda has parked herself on the bed. She's going to sleep. Drag Race is peak television, according to Fiona, and
oh, Caleb, wait till you find out I fucking hate
does not
Ghirardelli
agree.
too. Ghirardelli can suck a dick also. So.
Whoa.
Anyway.
I mean,
Whoa.
I don't.
Yep.
I don't have
Went
like
there.
a huge.
Went there.
Do you like any chocolate? That's like a genuine question. I'm not trying to be mean.
Mars, Lindt, Reese's,
Mhm.
all that good shit.
Well, Reese's is
Yep.
Hershey's.
That's true. No, isn't it? Yes, it
different.
is.
No,
Everyone
Reese's
knows
is
it's different.
Hershey's. What about Nestle? Do you like Nestle?
I do like Nestle.
Do you like underground, like indie stuff, like kind of the stuff that not a lot of people know about, or
No.
Okay.
Like the Mr. Beast, I think Mr. Beast is shit. What are those, the chalk ones or whatever the hell those are called with the big graphic letters on them? I don't like those at all. I don't care for those. No.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I
mean, I
Baby
love
Ruth's like my
Hershey's.
thing,
I love.
by the way.
I like Nestle. I like No. Swiss trumps both. Let's just get
Swiss
that
is great.
perfectly
Yep,
clear.
I love Swiss. Love Swiss.
But you know that's why
Yeah,
the
we're
Swiss
gonna.
are always
I am
neutral.
going
They
to.
don't
I
get
will
involved.
play on hills. I will set off nukes over chocolate over my fat ass. That's the one thing.
I will say I'll do a
here.
Ghirardelli if it's like a caramel, something like that, but just straight Ghirardelli. Like the Ghirardelli brownies, I think are absolute trash. So.
By the way, if you guys are enjoying the conversation, please hit the like button. We do appreciate it. In retro is like
Just
John
gone
needs to
off.
eat salad.
Just gone
Like
off.
this is why we have the show. We get into random shit, like it's just literally.
Oh, crunch,
moving on.
old school. Caleb, they've changed the recipe for crunch. It's not the same. It's not the same. It breaks my fucking heart.
I think you might be right because
It breaks my fucking heart.
It's slightly off. Do you like any? I'm just curious. Like now we're kind of diverging from chocolate.
Hold on,
but
but the snack size crunch bars are the best ones. They have the best ratio of chocolate to.
Does Canada
So
even have chocolate?
no, yeah,
Yeah,
they have like the coffee. What are they called? The coffee crunch is what Canada has. Everybody loves that shit. I bring that back from my
Do they
friends.
have chocolate? That's great.
No,
like
I
it.
mean, like, do they have like
chocolate?
noteworthy brands of chocolate? I know they have.
Well, the
chocolate,
coffee crunch,
man.
the coffee crunch is actually Nestle's, but I know it's a popular thing in Canada. Anyway, sorry.
I mean,
But yeah.
okay, cool.
Gang, I can talk chocolate ratios all day long.
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
can tell you what the
No,
best
this is
Reese's
what we
is.
got-
I
we-
can tell you what the best Crunch
No.
is, the best Kit Kat. I can tell you.
Liz, this is what the next pod has to be about. Me, Fiona, and Dan, all talking about chocolate. Let's
Yes.
go.
Oh wait, oh man. I
Dude,
would go
M&Ms are my shit.
That's gonna be the
M&Ms
Don't
first
get me
like
started on
5 hour
Oreos.
podcast.
Don't get me started.
M&M
on
is Mars,
Oreos.
and Liz already mentioned she likes Mars, and M&M's
I
are
do,
fire,
yes,
so like
M&Ms
Don't
are
get me
fire.
started on Oreos.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm gonna do
I
it.
make
I'll burn it down.
ass M&M cookie. Just saying.
Look what the watcher has walked into. You're talking about chocolate. God, that's great. The Goonies are apparently have reunited. Ke Kwan would love to make a sequel. Corey Feldman says, "Get us all together. Everybody's looking good." What do you guys think
Corey
about this?
Feldman
Would you
just
like
wants
to see a
somebody to
Goonies
call
sequel?
him on a. Corey Feldman just wants his phone to ring. Let's be honest. Like, please. Of course he's gonna be a part of the Goonies. Are you kidding me? Hey, Corey, do you want to be a part of the Goonies? Nah, I'm good. Bullshit. Oh Lord. Of course he's coming back for it.
I mean, Josh Brolin is probably looking for work because he keeps denying everything that comes his way. So I mean, who knows? And but then again, he might be retiring soon because Denis Villeneuve's not winning an Oscar for Dune 2.
He does
But anyway,
speak very highly of his time with the Goonies. I'm sure he would come back for it.
yeah. By the way, are you surprised by this? Back in Action and The Night Agent have continued to top Netflix's charts, but WWE has also claimed 2 of the top TV spots with Monday Night Raw and the Royal Rumble. I watched the Royal Rumble, and then I saw parts of Monday Night Raw. I'm still waiting to see The Night Agent Season 2, but I had fun with Back in Action. Liz, are you surprised that any of these are at the top of the charts for Netflix?
No. I mean, yes, we said Back in Action was a quote-unquote Netflix film. And it is, but it was still entertaining enough. I mean, it's good to just throw on, and I wouldn't say it's family friendly necessarily, but it's not the worst thing to have on with the kids around, so it doesn't surprise me. And again, the first season of Night Agent did so well that this is not a surprise to me in the slightest.
They're very
That's fair.
refreshing, by the way.
Yeah. By the way, junior mints are great. Do love junior mints. They are refreshing. The Watcher's like, I ain't getting involved in this.
Good job, Watcher. That's a very, very... He's watching. He's not initiating. He's just watching, living up to his name.
Sorry,
That's
Ron.
exactly
Watcher's not going to fall for you. He's like, smart choice. Yes, smart choice by the Watcher not getting involved in the chocolate conversation. But hey, you know what? Like we said earlier, as Jose is reminding you, clobber that like button while you're at it. We will continue to talk about chocolate because we do all love chocolate. Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick heading to South by Southwest with a sequel to sequel called Another Simple Favor, which is a sequel to A Simple Favor. What are you guys thinking about this? Is this a movie that you will be excited to see? Have you watched the first one?
I love the first one. I'm really interested to see how they're going to do this because Blake Lively's character is supposed to be in jail. She was one of triplets, but both of the other triplets are dead. So I'm interested to see how this is going to work out. You what?
She lied. Maybe she lied.
Maybe she lied. Maybe there's four. Or maybe she.
I mean, Ron's asking, is it a psychological thriller?
I'm assuming she escaped prison.
I think it is a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie. You guys should watch the first one. I really enjoyed it a lot. It was really like the first time I've ever seen Blake Lively in anything, and I thought it was great.
Yeah. Ron is just trying to start World War III again. God, Ron, just the Watcher said he's not getting involved in a conversation, man. Let's not start World War III over chocolate. We will do a special live stream if just talking about chocolate if you guys like that. That would be an amazing conversation, as you just previewed. But hey, Adrian Lester, Nicholas Potney are among the 5 cast in Peacock's Ponies alongside Emilia Clarke. What did you guys think about this news? Are you interested in another Peacock show that's getting ready?
I've never heard of this show in my life, let alone that Emilia Clarke was attached to it or that it was on Peacock. So cool. All right, moving on. I'm not even going to ask John because I'm pretty sure he hasn't heard of it either. Ethan Hawke is developing the Gunfighter remake at 20th Century. What do you guys think about
I didn't even know what the original Gunfighter is.
Yep. I think maybe I've heard of it, but I never saw it. But I love Ethan, and he's great in anything. So certainly when he's got, a little Western vibe going, so good for him. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Please don't accidentally shoot anyone. That's all I can say.
God. By the way, The Watcher, yes, we did talk about Fantastic Four for like the first hour of the show. But yes, your thoughts. He said he looked good, didn't wow him at all, was rather underwhelmed. I agree with you. We all gave it pretty much 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. So, it could have been better, but it's 90 seconds. And, hopefully as we get to see more from the movie, it will improve. Wow, Caleb, you think CM Punk should have won the Royal Rumble? I don't know, man. I thought John Cena should have gotten it. But, he's probably still going to win.
John Cena has to retire at some point. So there is going to be a time when he doesn't come out victorious, and you're just going to have to accept it.
His farewell tour is happening right now, so that's why people are like, let him get one more big one. But anyway, hey, Molly Gordon is set to direct and star in A24's comedy Peaked. Interested?
I like her, so good for her. I'll see it.
I don't know who this
Especially
is.
if it's a comedy. I love a comedy. So
cool.
Yeah, I'll see it.
Like what is going on with my connection? I'm blaming John. Sorry. Yeah, you should reboot, as Fiona's saying. Maybe get back into the chat. Lenny's having some trouble with her connection, but I'm sure she'll be back soon. Ari Aster, working on his next movie, Eddington, starring Joaquin Phoenix and Emma Stone, is heading to EFM as A24i's Cannes debut and a summer release. Also going to have Austin Butler in it. What do you think? And Pedro Pascal, of course. Interested?
Probably not.
I love this cast, but if it's going to be a scary movie like Hereditary or Midsummer, then thank you.
No, I think it's a Western.
I will not. Oh, okay, then absolutely, I'm there.
I don't know if I'm gonna pay to see this, but I'll maybe catch it when it hits streaming. Because I don't totally hate Ari Aster yet. I hated Beau Was Afraid, fucking gigantic piece of garbage. But like,
dude, that movie, you can't even explain to me what that movie's about.
We can talk about that.
Curious about this, so I will see it just on streaming, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. By the way, yeah, I mean, The Watcher, we mostly agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think, but there's still a lot more to see. We just got 90 seconds, so Hopefully we'll get more of, Pedro Pascal in the role as Mr. Fantastic. Hopefully we'll get more from Vanessa Kirby, who didn't quite feel like she was doing anything other than just being herself in the trailer. Yeah. Enterprising saying all-star cast away. Thank you. I got the reference. Moving on to the next quick hit. Neuromancer is finally being adapted for television on Apple TV Plus, and now Mark Strong has joined the cast. Do you think this is a strong
finally,
choice?
Dan.
For
You don't know
casting?
what Neuromancer is, just like the rest of us. Cut it out.
I'm aware. I haven't
knew
read the
about
book,
it.
but I'm aware of Neuromancer.
Then I'm the one that's completely ignorant here. I apologize. Okay, then. I know nothing about it, but I love Mark Strong, so good for him.
Yeah, I think this is a very strong casting choice, and it's going to hopefully get this show off to a strong footing. So with that in mind,
adapt future novels too. So
yes.
Yeah,
That
I mean
would be
this
nice. Apple TV Plus and Sci-Fi
started
go together really well.
It started the cyberpunk subgenre. So
yeah,
William Gibson also did write one of the many drafts of Alien 3. That's what the novel and the graphic novel were about. Were based on his script. So but yeah. It's exciting. Hopefully, like, a lot of people have been scrambling for an adaptation for years, so hopefully it's good. Cadbury sucks.
Speaking of getting back to chocolate, Fox Corp is now expected to launch their own new standalone streaming service by the end of 2025.
No.
I mean, they already have Pluto, or is it Tubi? They have Tubi.
God, look
they
how
have the Fox News Nation.
There's too much. Fucking stop. God
They're
damn
not gonna bring a ton of new stuff to it. They're just gonna bring everything they have on linear television.
Bullshit, they won't. They say that, but they're gonna do it. We had some ideas and we have our own creative content, and now they're gonna fucking shell out shit that everybody's gotta go fucking see. I can't take it, you guys. I don't have the kind of time. Stop it. Stop it. Not everybody needs a streaming service. Fuck. Anyway.
That's fair.
It's great. Imagine being in an elevator with Lizz, TC24 proposing. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, we would dance, baby. We would dance.
By the way, Caleb, no amount of Mark Strong is enough.
Exactly.
Moving on. Jelly Roll. Oh my God, this guy.
Good for him.
I love his personality. I don't necessarily love his music, but he's joining American Idol as the first ever artist in residence.
Dan, his music's real. You need to stop. Dan. His music's real good. He's a wonderful man. I endorse everything that he puts his hands on. Good for you, Jelly Roll.
And when he showed up in WWE a few times, one time he just grabs the guy like for the choke slam. He's like, "Oh, it's going down," and he does it. And he looks in that moment, he looked like one of my cousins, and I was like, I am texting this to him because it was uncanny. I was like, that's so yeah. Jelly Roll, just I like I said, not a big fan of his music necessarily, but I do love his personality. The dude just has fun.
You just haven't heard enough of his music. He's got some good shit. He's got some straight bangers.
That's fair. Well, you know what? Speaking of straight bangers, Hunter Schafer is now being eyed to play Mystique in the new MCU X-Men reboot. She's, of course, known for her breakout role in Euphoria. What do you guys think about this potential casting? Would you?
I
like
don't
to see
fucking
Hunter
believe
Schafer?
this for one goddamn second.
I'm
cutting. Because here's the thing. After the whole fucking... Sorry, I'm just going to go on a little bit of a side rant. I know we're going to talk about this more tomorrow.
I'm going to have a snack.
But I'm just... This is not about Hunter Schafer. I'm sure Hunter Schafer would do an excellent job in the role. I've heard she's amazing on Euphoria. It would work. It would be great. She would be great. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is I'm done with scoopers. I'm gonna say this from now on this show. I'm done with them. Like, after how much scoopers royally butt-fucked Captain America 4, and this is coming from someone who, by the way, allegedly hates Marvel, by the way, and I was not excited I was not excited for Captain America 4 from the beginning. I just didn't look. No Marvel movie has looked interesting to me except for Fantastic Four and any future Spider-Man projects. They just don't look interesting to me. That's just how it is. So there's that, but it's like, at least judge it on its own merits. But now the misinformation in regards to that is so ingrained in people's minds now that everyone is going to go into this believing it's going to be the worst movie ever because of like the reshoots, the 6 months of reshoots that didn't happen, the ballooned up budget that is non-existent, and now the like idea that like the movie was reshot like 400 times when it wasn't. I propagated this and I apologize for that because I was wrong. I was very wrong about that. And here's the thing, judge it based on its own merits.
Mistakes were made.
A lot of mistakes were made, and I feel really bad because it's like, I don't like, if it's true, I will say it and I will say that proudly. But if it's not, that fucking sucks because now I feel like that's probably why they've been like pushing so many fucking trailers at us for the past couple of months, is because they're like, we gotta like push this movie because people are believing it's gonna suck because of all this misinformation that's out, because of douchebags like fucking Jeff Snyder and World of Real that have been pushing this garbage on us, and now nobody believes this movie is gonna be good because of all this bullshit that's not true. So it's like, that sucks. And I now, and you know who we got, a fucking scooper, like MF.
It's my time to shine. It's my time to shine.
Fuck him. I'm not gonna believe any of this shit anymore. I'm not going to. I'm not, because even James Gunn has said, yeah, sure, once in a blue moon, they're right, but that's like 1 time out of 10, like that 10% of the time, maybe. So I'm not gonna believe this now, and I feel bad because Hunter Schafer would probably be a very good choice for the role, but I don't believe this now. I'm gonna say, not even take it with a grain of salt. Don't believe this at all. Don't believe it. Don't believe Jack Champion being Cyclops. Don't believe that fucking shit either that we were talking about yesterday. So
there was even there was the other guy too. There were 2 of them. Like, we got 2 of them. So, yeah. Anyway.
I'm not gonna. Marvel has, like, I just don't care enough anymore. Like, I'm just kind of burnt out from it. I'm burnt out on Star Wars. I'm just burnt out on both of those franchises. I just don't care anymore, and that's unfortunate. Like, I'll check out. Yeah, so I love Spider-Man. I loved Spider-Man before like MCU stuff, so I'll always check out his stuff because I'm a Spider-Man fan. But and Fantastic Four, because I'm curious how that will turn out. But nothing has interested me, and I don't want to waste my money on it. So.
I will just say, X-Men is what started my fandom. X-Men and Star Trek TNG, that is what started my fandom. That is what started my love of all of these things. For me personally, I hate iterations of X-Men when they're younger. What I grew up on was all of the X-Men being adults. So when I see somebody coming in, like, I hated Anna Paquin as Rogue. I'm gonna say it. She was too young for me. I want my adult Rogue and Gambit saga. I want Rogue and Storm to be flying in the sky together. That's what I want. I don't want teenage Rogue. I don't want teenage Mystique. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So I don't give a damn if she gets cast or not. It's not gonna be the storyline that I want, and it's gonna piss me off. That's all.
Nice. No, I mean, look, this is a rumor so far.
Lenny.
It could be true. If it is, I mean, I think she's a great actress, so she would make a good fit if they did indeed go in that direction. But we are still in early goings on that movie. So, speaking of which, we aren't in the early goings on this TV series. In fact, Cobra Kai is about to finish its run with the final part of its final season.
Hell yeah.
And they just dropped the final trailer. Are you guys excited for this? Did you guys get the chance to check it out? It's going to be on Netflix. And of course, it drops right before we get Karate Kid Legends. So, the timing is perfect almost.
Yeah, I've only ever watched great.
3 episodes, so
I'll watch it. It looks great. I'm so excited. I know a lot of people are like, oh, it should have ended like last season and this season was superfluous. I still have, like, the first 5 episodes were like okay, not great, but I would say they're okay. I wouldn't say they're not great. I would say they're okay, not the greatest thing ever, but they were fine. Then the second half was like just, the first episode was wonky, but the rest of it, the other 4 episodes were fantastic. Great stuff. Love to see it. I love the show from when I started watching it. I think it was like when season 4 just came out. There have been some bad moments, good moments, but mainly it's been an overall really great show. It shows what you should do in terms of a legacy sequel show. And you know what? Nobody thought it was going to be good. Fucking a Karate Kid sequel show from YouTube Red. Nobody thought this fucking shit was going to be good.
Hey, man, dude, nobody thought this would go as long.
In theaters when they did the fan event to launch it, and I wanted to, but I was not going to subscribe to YouTube Red, so it fell off for me. Even so, I never caught up when it went back to Netflix. I want to see it. I like them. I've met Ralph Macchio. He's an all right guy. But and I'm going to see the upcoming film for sure. There's just too goddamn much, you guys. I have a full-time fucking job. I have cats. I gotta be home. I got things to do. I can't keep watching all these fucking shows. You're killing me. You're fucking killing me. But eventually I'll see it. So.
That's great. That's great. Well, by the way, guys, if you are new to the channel, we are here 5 days a week. So hit that subscribe button and hit that like button so that way you can, get this out in front of even more eyeballs. Speaking of eyeballs, I think we are done with the quick hits. So John, why don't you get us out of that quick hits music?
Get out of the... Sorry, Liz.
By the way, Retro Edits is asking, can you suggest some good horror movies?
Yep, John's
any
the man
thoughts
for that.
on that?
What's up? What happened? Sorry, I was looking at Lenny's comment. She was talking about Section 31.
We will review it once I see it. We are Trekkies. Liz and I are Trekkies.
Even Lenny is saying Section 31.
Yeah,
I got through 10 minutes. I
it.
cried because I couldn't get through it, and I love Trek, and it was so bad I couldn't watch it. It's heartbreaking.
That's what I'm hearing.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I can't speak to it yet. So,
yeah.
That's what I'm hearing. Yeah.
Oh my God,
hey,
new Trek is bad? That's crazy.
God, calm down. But as far as good horror movies, I think for me, if you haven't seen it yet, watch Shutter Island. That's like a psychological thriller.
Yeah, that's a
horror
good.
movie.
That's a good one. Martin Scorsese
Really
knew
movie.
how to do horror. Crazy.
Yeah, like who knew? I mean, like, but that's one of the best. I think it's one of the most underrated Martin Scorsese movies.
I would say so.
Ron
Yeah.
is like, by the way, Ron's
now,
saying,
retro. Are you talking about good horror movies that have come out recently? Because we are going to get into one later. But or are you talking about in general? Because I can go full horror nerd on you right now, but that might make this 2-hour video into a 6-hour video, and I don't think you want me to go full horror nerd on you. So I'll
just watch John's YouTube show.
Yes. What or maybe check out the Puniverse. The Puniverse looks great.
Don't watch the Puniverse. No.
Don't do that.
No.
Okay, Retro's already watched Shutter Island. You know what? Then watch the first Jurassic Park movie. That was a horror movie.
Pretty much.
I'm not a big horror fan, so my suggestions will be a little more limited. But speaking of Dogman, Ron, we are going to review Dogman a little bit. But right now, of course, we have come to the end of Quick Hits. So as always, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. But as we usually do, we now move into the movie reviews part of the show. Then we will get into DCU Daily after, so do stick around. We have a bunch of DC news to get into. But right now, let's talk about Companion. Companion is a movie that I saw the trailer for literally a few weeks ago, and I immediately was like, oh my God, this looks better than anything I thought it would. I mean, of course, it's got Jack Quaid in it, Sophie Thatcher. It looked fantastic. I haven't gotten a chance to see it yet, but the other two folks on this panel have seen it. So Liz and John, you went to see Companion. So I'm going to let you guys take away this conversation. And just, we'll start with Liz. Liz, what did you think about it?
No, I'm going to let John go first, actually, because I want to hear what he has to say.
Okay. Yeah, you can go first for Dogman, then. I want to be fair.
Yeah.
So the Companion was a movie I was really excited for. As, Dan was saying, Sophie Thatcher has been shown, she was in Yellow Jackets, which I have not watched, but I've heard she's great, and that's a great show. Dan, don't you watch Yellow Jackets, or I thought you did. Do you watch Yellow Jackets?
I did, but I haven't been caught up. I kind of fell behind.
Okay, so it's a great show, right? From what I've heard, it's a great show.
It is. It's really good.
So there's that. So I've heard she's great in that, and that's a great show. And then, she was really good in Heretic. I liked Chloe East's performance a little bit more, but she was still really good in that. And so I expected great things from this. I expected a different movie with how they marketed it initially. It just seemed like a guy kidnapped a girl and, oh, by the way, spoilers. We're going to get into spoilers. It just seemed like a guy kidnapped a girl and forced her to love him. But the way they were doing it was interesting, but no, they went full on kind of iRobot type shit, and it's oh, okay, so that's what you're doing. And I really loved it. I felt the biggest problems I had was the first act. Ironically, the same thing with Dogman. The first act was weirdly paced. like it felt like wonky to me. Like I don't know how to explain it. It just felt like awkward, like it was kind of fumbling to get to where it was. And then once second act hits, we were really getting into like once it happened, the people who've seen the movie will know what I'm talking about. It really starts to get going and it really starts to work. I like Jack Quaid is great in this. Now the trope of him being a nice guy, I'm on the fence about, because I feel like that's a trope we're gonna see. It's been kind of done to death in recent movies, and I feel like it's a trope we're gonna see a lot of in the future. And I'm kind of worrisome about that because it's a great thing to do, especially in this day and age. Easy thing to do, kind of low-hanging fruit a little bit. Like, oh, typical nice guy type shit. Don't get me wrong, these guys deserve to be vilified and absolutely like shown as villains. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just, thank you, Hugo Millie. Also, hi, Hugo Millie. Anyway, but that's the thing I'm kind of worried about. Like, we've seen the nice guy trope a lot of that recently, and so I like that, kind of bought into it a little bit. However, with what he had and what it was, it worked for the I'm trying to separate it from like the overall trope we've gotten and are going to get a lot of in the future. I'm trying to separate it from that. It's hard to, but ignoring everything, trying to ignore everything, I thought Jack Quaid did a great job. Sophie Thatcher did a great job. What I love about her performance, like you could tell, like the way she moves is like robotic, and you could tell that like she took like some classes or something about like how not to move as gracefully as like a human would, or like goofy as a human would, because the way like the beginning where she's in the grocery store, like she's like walking like not correctly, so you know something is up with her, and I really liked that.
It's kind of Stepford Wivey.
Yes, very Stepford Wivey. Great. I was gonna mention that. Yes, thank you for reminding me. Very much Stepford Wife. Definitely, had those vibes. I expected a little bit more epicness from the movie, like a little bit more like pump to it, but what we got was a very well done horror thriller. I thought, trying to one up each other constantly. The amount of twists was great. It felt well done. It felt organic. And I thought the third act was great. We saw Matthew McCarthy, a College Humor regular in the movie, as one of the two guys at the very end of the movie. That was great. We, I liked the twist drop of like, I had a feeling that they were going to do the twist of like, oh, there's another companion. I had a feeling, and then they revealed it. I'm like, oh, that was good. I really liked that. But yeah, Jack Quaid, this and Novocaine and The Boys season 5. This man is gonna have a great fucking end. My Adventure with Superman season 3. Bro is gonna have like the biggest year of his fucking career right now, and I'm happy for him. I know like people hate nepo babies, but Jack Quaid Liz can confirm he's a great
so
guy.
Kind. He's wonderful.
So, I thought like Sophie Thatcher did a really good job. I expected a little bit more from this. I'm not going to say it was a disappointment. I thought it was fantastic. I expected a tiny bit more. The trope is like bothersome in terms of like an industry standard, not this trope in and of itself, because I don't want it to be run into the ground too quickly of like the whole nice guy villain, because it's a great thing to do, because fuck those guys. The first act was a bit wonky, but outside of that, I thought it was great.
It did feel very much like, and of course that, Don't Worry, Darling, in that sense, where like he's a total loser and basically creates this, perfect girl, but only uses her when he needs her, and then he puts her to sleep. But I thought it was interesting that in the trailer, it made you believe that like he built her and she was just solely like his creation, and then come to find out that like, no, these are like these bots that are mass produced and everybody orders one, and kind of like her vibes in that regard. But I liked it a lot. I will say, to be kind of nitpicky, because this is what I was thinking the entire time I was watching the film. She's supposed to be man-made. She's supposed to be modeled. She's supposed to be perfect. Like they made sure her skin was smooth. That and the other companion, the skin was perfect. They can change their eye color. They can change their hair color. Her teeth are fucked up in real life, and that's, again, she's born that way. It is what it is. they should have given her veneers. They should have
veneers,
they should have because that was so distracting for me throughout the entire film. And I know it's being really nitpicky, but I'm like, you're supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to be man-made. You're supposed to be created. And you guys complete like that. It was so distracting. So that was like my one disappointment in the film, because I was like, you guys got again, just like you said, John, from her gestures, at one point he would ask her what the weather was, and she would turn into like an Alexa and give you a really automated weather response. So those kinds of things, I was like, oh, you missed that one thing, and it's all I can think now.
It's just she has like human teeth. She just has regular teeth that's like screwed up, not like Tom Brady teeth where it's like clearly fake as fuck. So,
exactly.
Or Alan Richson's in fucking Fast X or whatever, where it's like you can light a tunnel with those things.
Well, that's just because they gave him a super glorious tan. So he got the Bon Jovi white teeth, and he got the freaking Donald Trump special. Anyway, God, he's gorgeous. Anyway, but yeah, but no, I completely agree with John. Like the twists were really good. It was really creative, because again, the trailer doesn't give a lot away. You see her covered in blood in one segment, but you don't know why or how she got there. So I really liked it a lot. Again, yeah, it was kind of your typical automaton goes wild. Like it could have been like a Megan, it could have been like a Deus Ex Machina, but I dug it for sure, and I liked how it ended, and Jack Quaid and Guillermo. I've met Guillermo. His real name is not Guillermo. Oh my God, what is his real name? I'm so sorry.
Guillermo? I don't know who you're talking about. I didn't realize that was Rupert Friend, by the way. I was like, wait, hold up, what? And I was like, damn, who the fuck?
No, he's Guillermo in What We Did in the Shadows. So I'm trying to look up his actual
somebody in the
name.
chat.
Harvey. I'm sorry, Harvey. I've met him. He's a wonderful man. But it was really nice to see him in something different like this. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. If you guys like these kind of out there movies, it's not a horror movie at all. It's I wouldn't even call it.
I would say it's like a horror comedy.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely more of a horror comedy for sure. There's some funny parts in there. And again, they do get pretty creative with how they wrap everything up. So I liked that a lot. But I also enjoyed the fact at one point there are some people that work for these robot manufacturing company, and they come in and they're just like, yeah, people do fucked up things to these dolls. Like it's just you know what I mean? Like they know who their audience is. They know what they're he
modded it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love how he tried this overall fucking story, all this other shit. And then Matthew McCarthy, the actor, was like, oh, this fucking dumbass clearly fucking did something with it. And
so I appreciated that aspect of it, where it's like, if this was real life and this, everybody, you know what you're getting a bot for. You're not getting a bot because you.
I also liked. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I liked how like they showed like the technology was like clearly like slightly in the future. It wasn't just like normal and then like fucking robots. The car was like kind of like that, like slightly more like futuristic kind of thing.
It was a self-driving car if those were successful. Yeah.
So like futuristic cars.
He could operate her through his phone. He could look at her operating system through an app on the phone, very much like we have technology today. So in that sense, it made it really extremely realistic. Yeah. But I thought it was a fairly good comedy at the end of the day too. So if you guys get a chance, I definitely recommend checking it out. I enjoyed it.
Companion's a lot of fun. It's great. It's enjoyable. It's not too scary. It's like if you want to watch a good horror movie, but you think you're gonna get too scared, this is a good like kind of starting point, because it's so like very minimal with its horror. It's a little bit more psychological than something like you would think it would be. So yeah, I liked those aspects. I thought, the acting was great, cinematography was great. I really liked, all these aspects, and coming from the writer director of Fred 3 Camp Fred, who knew?
But do we want to move on to Dogman or? Oh, okay. Pause for a moment.
Sorry, I gotta blow my nose.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Well, I mean, let us know in the
guys.
comments down below what you guys thought about the movie. We do appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, what do you guys? What were your star ratings for this movie?
I'd give it a 8.5, 9.
Yeah,
maybe?
8.5. I think that would be
8.5.
yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, with that in mind, like like we always say, hey, let us know what you thought about the movie down below in the comments. If you're not watching live, if you are watching live, then let us know in the chat, and of course, hit that like button and hit the notification bell. Right now, we're gonna move on to the next review, and that is, of course, Dogman. Dogman is a movie that is literally like a movie within a movie in a way because it's based on a story from another movie from a few years ago. I looked at the trailer for this. It looks cute as heck. It looks fantastic. The movie's out. It's making all kinds of money at the box office.
Yeah.
So, Liz and John, you guys went and saw the movie, of course. I want to get your thoughts on this. What did you think about Dogman? Liz, why don't you start this one off?
I was pleasantly surprised, honestly. I was gonna skip it entirely, but then based on John's enthusiasm and you guys in the chat, I was like, all right, I'll see it. I'm clearly not your generation. Like this movie, I think I was probably like 20 when the book came out, the story came out, maybe even older. But I went and saw it, and you know what? I was pleasantly surprised. And you guys, there's a fucking kitten in it. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna hate a movie with a freaking adorable kitten in it? I don't think so. So yeah, it was a good time. I will say my theater was absolutely packed. Like, so to give you an idea, and we brought up those numbers last week. Companion did like 10 mil in the box office. Dogman did 30. Companion, my theater had like 8 other people in it, whereas Dogman, my theater was almost completely sold out. So it was fun, listening to the kids react and laugh at all the goofy shit, and it was a pleasant surprise, I'll tell you. Lenny, I'm 40 goddamn years old. Thank you very much. But yeah, little Petey, oh my god, that adorable freaking cat. Just bless his heart. I can't even. But John, you go ahead. You actually know the story.
So I was curious with what the actual like context was, because Dogman is like one of the other characters that Harold and George in the book. I don't know if it is for the movie, but in the book, Dogman is like a story that they make at like, because Captain Underpants is a character they made in comic books. Dogman is another one that they did. Now, it doesn't say that in the movie. I think it's just like, it just so happens to be like another movie, and in like the Dave Pilkey universe. But within the context of the books, it's like Dogman, this was like the book that was released, that was from the story that George and Harold made. So I was expecting like cute, like I was really excited for it because I love Captain Underpants. Yeah. I grew up with those books. I love those books. I never read the Dogman book that was eventually released. That was slightly after my time.
Well, and I told you when we talked last week, John, that after knowing that it was a story based on, from the other story, I thought it was really, really sweet in the film how like each of the characters also created like flip books of their, and it was a very kind of meta moment for me. I was like, look, they're doing it. They're making more stories in this story from the story. So that it's just cute. I was like, so I'm happy that I saw it for sure.
It's just like I'm like, I expected a cute movie. Like, I love the Captain Underpants movie. I thought it was great. I hope they make a sequel. I know that they made a TV show, but I hope they get like a proper movie sequel, because it said Captain Underpants' first movie, so like first epic movie. So it's like, guys, come on, you're kind of promising us a sequel there. So so I was like, okay, I'm gonna get like a fun, silly movie. Like, to paraphrase Alex Hirsch when talking about Gravity Falls, Dogman is just a silly kids movie for kids. And then we got a movie that showcases the themes of breaking the cycle of bad parenting, nobody is beyond redemption, love and compassion will save the world, hope is a fundamental trait in everyone, and embracing the future even if it looks dark. In a children's film, by the way. So it's like you're doing all this shit, and you're doing all this great stuff. And the thing is, what I think it's like, that was like so surprising to me. It's like first, and like Pete Davidson, I liked a Pete Davidson character. Fucking
because again, you didn't have to look at him.
I didn't have to look at his fucking showed lips. Like, goddamn. So like that helped too, but it's like he was like actually an endearing character. Like I love how evil he was, but then you have like him and Dogman co-parenting little Petey by the end of the movie. So that was fucking great. But it's like so cute, and it's very like it has that Dave Pilkey humor, like of like, you know, very like silly, like children, like it has like Chief on the hat and like all that. It's very like over the top and all this stuff. It's like, oh my god, he did all this stuff in one day. Wow, what a great super cop. And it's like, you know, kind of that brand of humor. So that's not going to be for everybody. I understand that. But like what the messaging is, I was like really hooked. Like it says all of these really interesting things, but what's so fucking great about it is that it doesn't talk down to your audience. Like it doesn't talk down to kids of like, oh, you need to do these things. This is what our message is. You need to like do all this, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, it doesn't
no, it's
shove
just
it down your throat.
it doesn't shove it down your throat. It doesn't like grind the movie to a halt to like lecture you about certain things. It's just ingrained into the story. And I'm not gonna act like it's like the Iron Giant or something like that. Like it's not like amazingly perfect like that movie is, but it is more than you think than a movie called Dog Man, based on a book in the same universe as Captain Underpants. Like you're not expecting that. But it's like I was like almost getting teary-eyed by the end of the movie because it was such like a wonderful ending. And it's just like, and like towards the end of the movie where like Petey is like still, or well, Pete is still like kind of evil, but like he like kind of isn't. And it's just like this really wonderful moment. And you have like, you had Pete the cat, like trying to fucking tell little Petey this whole time, like the world is evil, the world sucks, reality bites, like all this shit, like everything's terrible. And then when little Petey's like starting to believe that by the end of the movie, Pete's like, ah, fuck, I gotta save this kid's innocence. So he like learns it's not all about that. He's like, hey, but you know what? The world might be a lot of horrible things, but it's a lot of good things too, and one of those good things is you. And it was like this nice slow moment. It was like it wasn't like how I feel like the Spider-Verse movies can be something where it's like kind of ADHD brain, where it's like throwing so much shit at you. It's kind of like that at points, but like there's a lot of movies where it's a lot of things where it's like it's slow and it takes its time, and like there's a little bit of a breather there, because like shoving that much shit down your kids' throats, it's a little bit much. It's like too much of a sugar rush kind of thing, but it takes its time and it's like a slow thing. Plus Ricky Gervais is in it. I was like, oh, hey, holy shit,
Ricky Gervais
is in this. He plays an evil bionic fish.
And I'm like, is
damn,
that Ricky? Yeah.
And then Isla Fisher is also in it. She's that character on screen. And then, you know, I liked how it stays true to the animation style. I love how ridiculous it is. And I love how it's like, because the whole thing was like his like the dog man is like a human and a dog fused together, like a cop and his dog get fused together, and it's like his like girlfriend like totally fucking leaves him. She's like, yeah, I'm not waiting around for a dog man to come sweep me off my feet. Yeah. But it's like the only thing he has left is like this tennis ball from his previous life from when he was a dog. But then like in order to save everyone, he has to like throw it away. It's like, yes, respect the past but embrace the future kind of thing. I really loved that. And you know, you have Pete like meeting with his dad and how his dad ruined his life, and him realizing that I can't be that for my, even though it's his clone technically, I can't be that for my kid. I gotta be better than that. So it's like him learning, even though he's gonna be still an evil villain, he's like, I'll be a villain. I'm a villain, not a monster, you know, that kind of thing. So I really fucking like this movie. Like, it's so much better. I would say go see it in a theater. Like, I know this is like a streaming movie, but it's just so wonderful. And so like the comedy is really good. It does have some like weird, like cringier moments here and there, but It's wonderfully animated, wonderfully acted. Pete Davidson isn't a piece of shit, thank God. He doesn't suck in this movie, and it just like has like a lot of wonderful sentimental moments. And I thought Peter Hastings, who's the writer director, I thought he did a really good job. I don't know if he did Captain Underpants though. But overall, great movie. I would say go see it. It's definitely it's way better than it has any right to be. Most definitely.
I mean, what Malik was asking in the chat, what are your ratings? Like, what would you give this movie out of 10?
I would give this an 8. Like straight up, almost like I would say Companion I liked a little bit more, but honestly, it's up there. I would say I would give it like an 8.
I mean,
like it's genuinely a great
for what
movie.
it is, I'm not going to compare it to Companion as far as a kids movie is concerned, and as far as the reaction of the kids in my theater. Yeah, I would give it an 8 as well.
I mean, it's doing really well. Like the critics love it, 78%. The audiences love it even more, 86% on Rotten Tomatoes. And then Companion, of course, is great, 93% certified fresh, 90% popcorn meter. So both movies, I mean, are doing really well. In fact, at the box office, Dogman has been devouring up the competition, while One of Them Days was closing in on Den of Thieves too. So we saw. I mean, I think John, you talked about it on yesterday's show. Dogman made like $40 million. So
almost, I think it's at 36 million right now.
Yeah, I mean, great.
Hey, Ron, I went to go see this by myself, and I was next to two grown people.
I saw it by myself.
I was next to 2 grown people in the movie, so it's fine. You're good. It's whatever.
Yeah.
I don't.
Ron, I go see kids movies by myself all the time.
Oh yeah,
don't even worry about it.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Well,
you can tell them you work for the theater or some shit, your quality control, whatever. People don't need to know your business. Don't worry about
it. Exactly. And you know what,
I can enjoy a kid's movie. Like, if it's good for all ages, which I think this is, then fuck it. Yeah. It's a good movie. I don't give a fuck. Oh, it's made for kids. Is it a good movie? Yeah, then fuck off. Like,
exactly. Fuck off.
It's a movie that's worth
now.
If
you start jerking off in the theater, then we have a problem. But I'm not doing that.
On that note, of course, let us know if you like Dogman and hit that like button while you're at it. And of course, if you are not watching live, then drop down in the comments and give us your rating for Dogman. But in the meantime, we're gonna move on and we're gonna get into what you guys are all here for. We're gonna talk about DC because it's time for DCU Daily. So welcome on in to another episode of DCU Daily. I'm of course your host, Dan. Host with the most. What is that little weird hand in the back?
You guys,
there's some hand action going on there.
What are we doing today?
Whoa!
I don't know what we're doing today.
Let's not get hand action from Fiona during the stream.
Oh,
Jesus
stop.
Christ! Goddamn! Hey, you said it, not me. I'm just like kind of doubling down on that.
Okay.
So, hey. I'm just seeing what I see. That's all.
Anyway, wow. Okay, I did not see that one coming somehow. But let's get into the world of DC news. So, off the top, I want to get into a rumor. So again, it's a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt. But actress Mikey Madison, who of course was in that movie Nora, she's on the up and up, and she's reportedly going to be joining Luca Guadagnino's next film, which as of right now, a lot of people are speculating could be Sergeant Rock. So that, of course, would be in the new DCU that James Gunn is working on. I wanted to get your thoughts on this, guys. Of course, it is a rumor, so we can't,
bullshit.
A concrete thing.
Bullshit.
But, yeah. So you think it's bullshit, John? I mean,
I think it's
Liz, what do you think about it? Are you into the idea of seeing Mikey Madison join the DCU potentially?
I mean, sure. I like her. I'm only used to hearing her speak in her like New York accent from Nora. So it'll be weird if she has any other accent or no accent at all. But again, it's just a rumor right now. And I also know nothing about Sergeant Rock. So sure, I'll see it. Sure. Okay.
I mean, I'm like so turned off from scoopers right now. I'm like, I can't believe anything now. I just can't believe it. Now, if this were the case, I wouldn't mind. Like, I don't like, here's the thing. Sergeant Rock is kind of still in a weird place of like, James Gunn hasn't confirmed it, but it's been confirmed by like well-respected sources like Deadline and Hollywood Reporter, Variety. So that's like, I'm kind of iffy on whether or not this is actually happening. Because they also confirmed that Daniel Craig is going to be joining Luca Guadagnino again after working with him on Queer. So I don't know, like here, if this is the case, like I don't think this is true. However, if it is, I don't think it is, but Mikey Madison joining his next movie, if that is Sergeant Rock, great. I've only seen her in Scream 5. I have not seen Honora. So, I can't exactly say anything for her acting outside of that because I hated Scream 5. So, obviously we'll see. But I have not seen Honora. So I just hope it's, whatever it is. I still don't believe this, but
Yeah, I mean, look, I think she's got a good resume, and she's like an up and coming star. And while Sergeant Rock isn't really confirmed yet by any official source, it would be again just adding more talent, right? Like you all of a sudden have Mikey Madison and Daniel Craig in a movie that's directed by Luca Guadagnino, who just did Queer with, of course, Daniel Craig. So that would be a very, very solid package, in the industry terms, as it were, that could become a great movie potentially for the DC.
I mean, I'll be interested to see how Luca handles Sergeant Rock if he is doing it, because Queer was a fucking weird movie at the end of the day. The third act was completely off the fucking rails. So I guess, okay, cool. We'll see.
The Watcher saying she might be part of the Rock's resistance team. Could be. Ron saying she's a great actress, but it would be interesting to see if she joins up. I mean, hey, she's still early in her career, so if this becomes a franchise, then she might end up being a part of the DCU for a long time to come.
Right.
So we shall see. Now, with that in mind, let's move on to our next story. Speaking of star power, Jason Momoa. He is, of course, or Lobo. Now we know that officially he is taking part in the new Supergirl movie. He's got the script, but we have all been wondering, is he going to have a big role in the movie? Now, according to a report, his role in the movie, this is, of course, again, Daniel RPK, a scooper. He's saying that his role in Supergirl is going to be a pretty small one. I mean, to me, this isn't a surprise because I never expected him to have a huge role. I mean, but is this one of those water wet situations, or is there more to it than that?
Yeah, I think this is definitely a water wet situation, even though water in and of itself is not wet. But I think I just don't. I mean, here's the thing: from what we've heard from the people who have read the comic, he does. The bounty hunter that Tom King wanted to make Lobo has a very small role, so that character is probably going to be turned into Lobo in the movie, and so he's probably going to have a small role. But and I feel like it's pretty obvious. You're casting Jason fucking Momoa. The man headlined two Aquaman movies that made a shit ton of money for DC, even though the second one was not very good. But if he doesn't,
first one wasn't very good either.
You're the only one who thinks that, so whatever. If he doesn't get a movie, I would be shocked because Lobo's a pretty niche character, but beloved enough to make it work, and Jason Momoa is literally perfect for this fucking role.
Yeah, so, I haven't heard any negative things about him being cast at this role, so I agree with John.
Always be Snyder fanning.
Well, but I agree with you, John, that there's really no reason why they wouldn't give him his own film for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it looks like there might be, hopefully fast tracking, like you guys are saying in the chat, his own spinoff. I mean, Liz, if they were to do a spinoff, how soon do you see that hitting movie theaters? Because there's so many movies DC's already caught on the horizon.
Yeah, no,
Jason Momoa
it'll be.
spinoff,
I feel like it'll be a while out because he still also has to finish up the Fast and Furious franchise, with his part in that. Are we talking Aquaman fucking 3? Kill me. Are we gonna do a new Justice League?
Different universe. I don't think we're getting that, but
yeah, who knows? But no, I think it'll be a little while down the line before that happens. I think first, they're probably waiting to see how Supergirl does. Right. Then they'll make decisions based on that.
Yeah, I mean, Enterprising saying not surprised. He'll probably just be in the cavern Supergirl is drinking at, or tavern. I'm sure you mean, but. Yeah, and then Lenny suggesting there's a May 2027 window, I think, pretty soon. You know what, John? So May 2027 was one of those untitled or unfilled slots on the DC schedule, right? So it could be. I wouldn't be surprised because that would give them enough time, right? Because if they were to start rolling on a Lobo movie even at the end of this year or early next year, that's enough time for them to hit that release date.
Yeah, but they would have to announce a writer who's writing it. But again, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff we don't know, so that's entirely
it might already be in the works.
Right.
Exactly. That might already be in the works. But I mean, let us know in the comments, guys, what do you think about Jason Momoa? Is he gonna have a big role in this movie, in Supergirl? And then would you like to see him in a solo Lobo movie? Because of course, casting an A-lister like Jason Momoa, I bet you they're paying him the big bucks, and that's not just to be a bloated cameo in a Supergirl movie. They probably
Right.
want to bring him back for his own film, or at least cameo in other movies and have a bigger role across the DC universe. Speaking of having bigger roles across the DC universe, of course, Blue Beetle had an amazing movie that came out a few years ago. I loved it. I loved the Blue Beetle movie, and I've just been looking forward to seeing more of Jaime Reyes. And John, you talked about this a little bit yesterday, so I want to
Yeah.
touch upon it today as well. Blue Beetle is supposedly getting an animated show in the new DCU. It's not officially
Allegedly. Lenny
announced
mentioned that
by
in the
James
chat
Gunn.
too.
Yeah, and then so recently, I think he was at some kind of an event. I forget which event that Joel Mardueña was at. Was he at the Grammys or was he?
Probably talking about doing a
Yeah,
release for Cobra Kai, if I were to
Cobra
guess.
Kai. Yeah. And he was asked about it, and he had a quote where he basically said, "Look, we're working on it. Hopefully 2026, fingers crossed."
Yeah, this is another one of those like fucking taking a quote that is like, oh, that would be
And
cool
turning it into
for it to
gospel.
happen,
Yeah.
and then now it's happening. But this is total bullshit. It's
Yeah.
not coming out in 2026. I can confirm this is 100% dog shit because all we got from Joel Mardueña is we would like for it to come out in 2026, but it's unlikely considering the slate they have in 2026. You have Lanterns coming out, which is a live action TV series. You have Supergirl coming out, a live action movie. You have Clayface, an Elseworlds movie, and most likely Creature Commando season 2. So it's extremely, extremely unlikely that we're going to be getting a Blue Beetle animated series in 2026. This is just coming from Joel Mardueña being like, hey, it would be awesome if we could get it out by 2026. So
yeah. I mean, and the Watcher put it perfectly. This is Jolo hoping for the best. Like that's literally what he says too. I think that's literally in the quote. So
yes, you're right, Lenny. Sorry, I was Clayface is not an Elseworld story. That was my bad. I was thinking of the Batman because James Gunn's like thing. Batman is coming out. It's an Elseworld from Sorry, that was my bad. Thank you, Lenny, for correcting my mistake.
I would love to see it. I mean, even if it isn't happening, even if he just shows up in like the Booster Gold show, which is also still being written. So I just want more Blue Beetle, man. Give it to me however I can get it. I'll take it. Joel Mardueña, I think, was perfectly cast for the role. He's a little bit older than what some people might have imagined, but I think, he's already got a movie that exists, which that movie you can easily retcon to be part of the DCU because not a lot happens in that movie that is tying it to the old DCEU. There's no big cameos. They only talk about like characters like Batman. Batman's a fascist. Like, stuff like that, which you can easily be like, which Batman? We don't know if it was a Ben Affleck
which
Batman.
Green Arrow goes to Brony conventions.
Exactly. Not the Stephen Amell Green Arrow, clearly.
Oh, God forbid.
God forbid. But you know what we were talking about earlier in the show, right at the top, we spent a good hour talking about the Fantastic Four trailer. And I just saw that, this post from somebody on social media. Let me see what their username is. Wolfie616. So, maybe a Marvel fan. But he was saying that it feels so right that as Marvel and DC are looking to recapture the public imagination, they return to the two franchises that made their companies. July is going to be a great month. # Superman, # Fantastic Four. What are your thoughts on this? Again, just the idea that, I don't know if it's coincidence. Usually in Hollywood, it's not coincidence when you get like White House Down and Olympus Has Fallen in the same year or back in the 90s. What were the two volcano movies? I forget the name. But, like usually in Hollywood, these kind of things converge because it's been years of development. And, like, for example, Batman v Superman came out and the same year, Captain America Civil War comes out. But here we are again in the same month, Superman, Fantastic Four. What are your thoughts on the idea, Liz, that we are at a, transition point? We're at a precipice where Marvel is looking to sort of like, just kind of reinvent itself in a way, kind of like move forward into a new era, potentially a soft reboot after Secret Wars. They clearly have had a low point or like, certainly a downward trend over the last few years. So the pandemic, post Avengers Endgame, sort of like they're still, haven't been able to get out of that hangover. And then on the DC side, of course, the whole DC universe is getting rebooted. We're going from the DCEU to the DCU, and you started with Superman, but now that we're in this new phase, or like we're the beginning of a new era potentially, and you combine that with the box office isn't doing as well as it used to, and superhero movies aren't as guaranteed of a hit as they used to be. How do you see, Liz, the idea of Superman and Fantastic Four being the ones that lead the charge and potentially into a new era? Like they can really set the tone for what superhero movies are going to be moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, Superman, I can totally see that. I think this is the right move to kind of reintroduce DC to the world and get people excited about their upcoming projects. I don't know that Fantastic Four does it in the same way for me. Like, again, we've had so many iterations of Fantastic Four that have just been flops that I think people are just kind of like I'm expected to be let down again. Whereas Superman, not so much. Like people still have the warm and fuzzies when it comes to Superman. We always will. So I think people are looking at it a little more positively. Yes, you're going to have the Snyder cultists, whatever. They're not even a part of the conversation as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know that Fantastic Four is necessarily the right way to kind of relaunch the MCU or introduce the new direction that they're going. But again, we've only seen that one 90-second trailer. It's not, we'll see what happens. I mean, again, I'll see everything that they put out. I'm a Marvel diehard, but I have been burnt in the past, and I can at least acknowledge that. So that's why I'm kind of feeling the way that I'm feeling. Like for me, if you're going to do a relaunch or you're going to go into a whole new world, I feel like it should be something so extremely different, so like characters you've never made a movie for before, that you haven't showcased before. Just to me, it's just like they're betting a whole lot on something that fans are already not necessarily very hopeful about. So you just have to wait and see, unfortunately.
Yeah, by the way, Lenny with a great question for you, Liz. What do you think about the idea? Should we have already had the X-Men in the MCU?
I do. I mean, for me, I was thrilled when the first film came out. I was still in high school. My dream cast was always Sir Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier. I'm so thankful that he agreed to do it. However, those movies definitely disappointed me in certain aspects. Like I said, I didn't care for them going with young Rogue. I wish Gambit had been introduced earlier. They really fucked up with that whole storyline, in my opinion. And then later on, the past 20 years, I've been waiting for them to get into the fold, and they just kept giving them their own independent film. And kind of, Deadpool tried, with Colossus and, trying to integrate it. But for some reason, Marvel just never went for it. And it's a real shame. So,
well, I mean, it was two different companies. They couldn't really do much.
Yeah, no, I understand that too. But so again, they all just kind of shot themselves in the foot with that stupid bickering and bullshit. So,
well, I mean, Marvel had to sell them because they were going bankrupt in the 90s, so they had to sell everything off. So,
right. No, I'm just saying it's a shame how it all kind of played out, because it would have been nice if, but at the same time, as I was saying in the chat way earlier today, Secret Wars hopefully will give us that mashup and that blending of all of the supers in one, kind of like we got with Endgame. But again, I'm sitting there going like, oh, I wish this character was here. I wish this character was here. I wish they did more with that storyline. So we'll see what happens. I feel like they're putting a lot of weight on Fantastic Four as to kind of launching their new direction or what have you. And I don't know that it'll pay off for them with that film, but we'll see.
Yeah, by the way, we have Ismochi and Angelica in the chat as well now, so hello to y'all. But John, I mean, same question to you. What do you think about the idea that, we're in this era now, or we're maybe at the end of an era, and hopefully at the precipice of a new one, where superhero movies are no longer, I mean, yes, they're still one of the giants at the box office, but they're no longer as surefire at the as they used to be. Like, for example, that Will Smith, Margot Robbie Suicide Squad made $700 million. Today, would it make that much money? Probably not. Like, because people are tired of just seeing the same tropes repeated again. They want good movies. They want movies that do something different that they haven't seen over the past 10 or so years. So, of course, well, we've gotten the Fantastic Four teaser trailer today that Angelica liked as well. And then we've got the Superman trailer not too long ago, which is sitting at over like 50 million views just on the DC channel alone. Both of these movies have gone off to great starts from a marketing standpoint. They're also like, Superman is the original superhero, the OG. The Fantastic Four are Marvel's first family. Like these heroes are so essential to both brands. Where do you see, or how do you see the idea that they're being positioned now at the forefront of what could be a new era in superhero filmmaking, where we maybe go back, maybe we're going from a golden age to now the silver age, as it were? Like, how do you see this transition and the role that these characters have to play in it?
I think, well, I don't know. It's the dawn of a new era, but a new era doesn't mean a good era. It's just, unless Disney fully pulls their gigantic egotistical head out of their asses, we're gonna still be getting mostly mid stuff with maybe one great movie every once in a while, because they refuse to like give anything some sort of like true passionate like filmmaking edge. Like, say what you will about the X-Men movies, like the vast majority of those movies were excellent and or great or good, while it feels like most of the MCU movies, I'm not even talking about nowadays, just in general, are just really not as good as some people would believe. They're just mediocre action movies. So, I mean, and the thing is, I don't trust Disney now. Like, I really, really don't, in terms of X-Men. And when they inevitably fail the X-Men for their first feature in the MCU, everyone's going to fucking realize that, oh, wow, yeah, the Fox X-Men movies, those were actually fucking Kino. So that's what I'm just going to wait patiently for in the background while Disney's empire doesn't necessarily crumble, because that's only the dreams of a fat bearded man yelling at a camera. But I'll just sit idly by until we reach that point.
Yeah. I mean, I just like how these two movies are embracing the comic book mythology of the characters in a way that maybe they wouldn't have so much 10, 12 years ago. Hell, we saw like a Fantastic Four movie that tried to get as far away from the comics as it possibly could and fail miserably. We saw a Man of Steel take, which was very different from the usual, and ultimately it didn't do nearly as well as it could have. So now we're getting back to essentially what doesn't just feel like the basics, but we're getting back to a more essential take, a more in spirit, a take on the character that feels like it's the comics brought to life in a way that we might not have ever gone before, quite frankly. Like, you look at Mr. Terrific's costume, you look at Superman, like the way it's being done, the way these shots are being filmed, the way the cinematography is there. You get the Daily Planet, you get the globe on the building, you're getting the classic shot that's right out of panel, like Superman and Lois flying into the air kissing. You're getting the Invisible Woman. You're getting Reed Richards in a way that people have probably been asking for years. I just think this is a great time to be a fan, right? Like, I thought we were past like the best of the comic book world, but perhaps we're going into a new era where we're going to get things that are even better, that are more inventive, more original. Like, Marvel has been blamed for doing things just like rinse and repeat, kind of like a factory line of movie making style. But maybe Fantastic Four changes that. I mean, I know I had some criticisms that it feels like still maybe is just another Marvel movie, but you can't really make the judgment on the movie just by watching a 90-second trailer. You can't do that for Superman either by looking at a 2-minute trailer and be like, this is amazing. Like, I think the movies will have to do the talking for themselves. But so far, I think this is just great to see that, hey, if we are indeed going into a new era of superhero cinema, that Superman and Fantastic Four lead the way. And ultimately we'll get to see the people will vote with their dollars and their pounds and euros and whichever currency you're in, rupees, dineros, real, and we'll see which movie does better at the box office. But guys, we do have a few more stories to talk about before we wrap up for the day. Recently, the Saturn Awards happened, and guys, not only did Superman and Lois win a very special award for all their contribution to superhero storytelling, but our boy, Colin Farrell has won a Saturn Award for his performance as Oz Cobb in The Penguin. What are your
Yeah, but
thoughts on this? Did you, because having seen the show, having seen the awards that has been nominated for, already won, are you
I just
surprised that Colin Farrell won this?
I almost feel bad for Colin because he has such a breadth of work before this, and for him to
Yeah.
like be getting recognized and getting all of these awards for essentially
where he's not even
a comic book
recognizable
show,
as himself.
right? Where he's in full prosthetics. Like, yes, his performance is amazing, and he's amazing, and he embodies the character, and he gives it his all. But it's still just like it's one of those things like. Really, of all this stuff in my career, like that's what I'm getting the notoriety for. Like I've I know I know he's happy about it, and I'm happy for him. But it to me, it's just the strangest thing.
It is. I mean, for a man who, like you said, has such an amazing career already, it's the fact that most people might today remember him for just the Penguin. It's amazing, but hey, that's the power of the comic book genre, right? And he seems to have elevated the character of the Penguin beyond just being a comic book character. Most people are like, he's a mob boss. Like you can watch that show and enjoy it, and you don't even need to be a big fan of the comics.
Yeah.
Because it literally works on its own. If you didn't even see the Batman, it tells you all the backstory you need to know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, Saturn Awards, John, you were saying yesterday they're not like the biggest thing ever, but still, like for the sci-fi genre, they are the big thing. So like
Sci-fi, horror, and
sci-fi, horror, fantasy, exactly. So yeah, I mean, look, it's as much as I hated what happened in the final episode, rest in peace, Wick.
They deserved it.
Okay.
Just why are we getting into this again? Liz is like, why am I getting caught in this again? Come on now.
No, you haven't even seen it, so I feel like we can't even have this conversation at all. Like, don't talk to me until you've seen it. Like, no. No.
Well, but I appreciate the recognition that anytime DC gets recognized for the good work that they're doing, anytime Marvel gets recognized. I mean, we do have a couple of comic book nominees at the Oscars this year, so we shall see. Maybe a Marvel movie will become an Oscar-winning Marvel movie this year. I don't know if DC has anything. Does DC have anything? The Joker probably do get nominated for like best costume.
Well, Heath has.
Who has a what?
What?
Heath Ledger has. Doesn't Heath Ledger have an Oscar?
Well, Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix too. I'm talking about this year. I don't know if any DC projects are nominated this year. But before we finish up DCU Daily, I wanted to kind of follow up on the lawsuit that is currently in process and progress. Well, the one where the Joe
Superman one?
No, I know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, there's also the Baldoni one, and I'm like, oh no, we're talking about DC right now and with all that shit.
Well, we're talking about the one for Superman, where the Schuster estate is suing Superman, so they won't be able to release it. And like the UK, Ireland, Australia, and it was like one other country, Canada,
UK, Ireland, Australia. I believe those are the four.
So, look, I came across this article, which I thought was a good summary of where things can go, because I've seen you guys comment in our previous videos asking, well, what's going to happen here? What's going on with the Superman movie? Are we still going to be able to see this film? Is this going to actually stop the movie from coming out? So I wanted to kind of get into this and just kind of go through a little bit of what this article summarizes at the end. Like, how will this affect the release of the movie? I know we kind of touched upon it a little bit, but really, I mean, they kind of do a good job of summarizing here. So I'll read a little bit of this, and I want to see your reaction to this as well. Now, look, the timing of the lawsuit could certainly be a problem because of how close it is to the release of the film. So it could complicate the film's distribution a little bit, especially because the regions that we just specified, those countries where the law applies, that the rights to the character reverts back to the original creator 25 years after they pass away, which would be true for Joe Shuster as well as Jerry Siegel, the two creators of Superman. In those countries, DC might have some trouble releasing the movie if this goes ahead into a trial. Now, if this gets settled outside of court, then that won't be a problem. Now, the other thing is also because while this is in dispute, DC could go ahead and release the movie just as they were gonna do anyway, and then at the end, if things get figured out, great. DC walks away with all the money. If they decide to pay, some percentage of it to the Schuster family, then at that point they can worry about that after the fact. But according to this article, the case contradicts the numerous agreements made over the years to give DC the sole rights to Superman, which, John, you can give us some more context on that. And because of those previous agreements being heavily in favor of Warner Brothers' part of the case, maybe, just maybe, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter at all that this case is being brought against them, because at the end of the day, once they've settled it all, DC will still be the ones that own Superman. So, like, basically what it comes down to is this movie will come out the way it's meant to come out, and it's not really going to have an effect. It could potentially complicate things for the little, like, the near future, but given that they have a 5-month window here, they just might have enough time to sort this out. What do you think, John?
I think they'll sort it out. I think it'll be fine. But here's the thing: a lot of people are confusing this with the royalties lawsuits that have been coming out. That came out with Superman Returns and Man of Steel. It's not the same thing. It's specifically copyright. It's not the royalties. It's two different lawsuits, because the copyright thing didn't come in until 2017, which was 25 years after Joe Shuster died. And that's when the copyright thing comes in. So technically the Superman rights did go back to him. Just internationally, it's being, it's hitting the head, because international, other countries have different laws in regards to copyright. And those four, Canada, UK, even though that's technically multiple countries, but the UK, Ireland, and Australia, those ones, the copyright's a little wonky. So I feel like they're probably gonna have to settle multiple cases of international law, and I think they'll do that rather quickly, because it's Superman, and they'll, it's WB, they'll fast track shit. Corporation have a lot of money behind them, they'll do it. So, I don't think this will be a problem. They have another 5 months to work this out, and I don't think this is going to stop those 4 places from getting this movie. I don't think it'll stop it, because there's a lot riding on this movie, and WB's like, this is not gonna fuck shit up for us, because we need this, because we're like $20 fucking billion in debt at this point. So like, they're like, we need this movie to fucking like do well. So you know what? We're gonna make this go away. I think I don't know about fairly, because it is a corporation and it is
definitely
WB,
not fairly.
So but quickly, I think it'll definitely be quickly. But people need to understand this is okay. Hold on. I don't understand that issue of the copyright of Superman. So they filed the case for movie or series or animated. I'm so confused. So here's I was talking about this yesterday, or not yesterday, last week. We were talking about this yesterday. I don't remember, but
it was
we were
last
talking
week.
about this earlier.
On Friday.
How this now, every time a Superman movie has come out, the estates of Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster have wanted royalties, because they sold off Superman back in the 40s for like $300, not even. And now this is worth a lot of money. So even though they're still credited, they don't get that money. So, because they're just like, here's who actually made it. So here, whatever it is, but they don't get that money. But the thing is, WB owns Superman fair and square. So like, I know that sucks, because like corporations are evil and all that shit, but like, that's just how it is. Like, they own the character, whether you like it or not. Now, what the problem is, Joe Shuster died in, I think, 1996. Seven. So, or actually, it might have been, whatever it is. It was 25 years after his death, and that was in 2017. And so, in 2017, the copyright for Superman, not necessarily not the character, the copyright went back to the Joe Shuster estate. And I don't think it has gone back to the Jerry Siegel. No, it was in 1992, and then that's what it was. It was 1992. That's when Joe Shuster died. And then I think it'll come back to the Jerry Siegel estate 27 years after 1996. So I think that's what it is. Anyway, I'm probably doing my math wrong, and I apologize. But so the copyright for Superman went back to the Joe Shuster estate, and only the Joe Shuster estate. However, it's the copyright in certain countries, the copyright in the United States, as well as I think maybe a couple other countries, However, the copyright has not gone back to the Joe Shuster estate in Canada, the UK, Ireland, and Australia, where this is all coming about. So they're claiming that because they own the copyright, not the character, the copyright for the character, that they can't release the movie in those countries and places because it would be a violation of the copyright that now the Joe Shuster estate owns. So what does that mean? They will have to settle a copyright case, not a royalties case, which is what it was in the past. So I hope that clears things up. I know it can be a little bit confusing because
it's a more limited
math,
scope.
but
this case, yeah.
So it's not residuals or royalties or anything like that. So WB owns the character. Joe Shuster owns the copyright for the character. It's two different things.
Well,
so
I think to
I'm
be
just
more
so
precise,
impressed that John has like such a grasp on all of this.
I reread that article like
wild
50
though. That's
fucking
awesome.
times. So
yeah,
like,
but
I
we
mean,
appreciate you for sure. Thank you for that.
Another way to put this and to kind of clarify, basically, the character of Superman, is still, like you said, belongs to Warner Brothers. I think it's the copyright, like the idea, like the copyright to the creation in those countries has reverted back because of the copyright law there. But having said that, it's one of those situations where Warner Brothers is looking at this and saying, and DC is looking at it saying, look, we got all the rights. You signed them away to us. This law does not apply. You can't just have it back in just 5 countries. Like that's such a, like, copyright law is different in
and
countries, but there is.
I don't know about. Sorry, I just
yeah.
want to include this one more tidbit. Now the Jerry Siegel stuff, that was 1996. 25 years after that was 2021. But Jerry Siegel's estate is not putting it in. It's only the Joe Shuster estate. So I don't know if they either don't fucking care, know that they won't win this, or like there's the copyright. It didn't go fully in for the Jerry Siegel stuff. So I don't know. I just wanted to include that information.
Yeah. I mean, look, ultimately, at the end of the day, this is a play to just either, get money out of this or some kind of profit participation, because they know this isn't something where they have like the most solid ground. And honestly, like, here's the thing. Let's be quite frank. If they somehow won this case, are they gonna go out and make a Superman movie that they'll release in just those 4 or 5 countries? That's gonna become like that unofficial James Bond Casino Royale movie. Like it's like, and even that like doesn't have the restriction of like, because here's the thing, their claim is only in those countries. They're not even the biggest movie markets in the world. Like no offense, but like if you release a movie only in the UK, Australia, Ireland, and what was it, Canada, it's got a much more limited ceiling for box office success, and then you're competing with the official version of Superman, the one that everybody else will go to see. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, the leverage isn't there. Their case might have like taken advantage of a certain nuance of the law that maybe is, even if it is in their favor technically, like this article points out, there's a lot of precedents here with like the past lawsuits, as well as previous agreements, more importantly, that were put in place that gives DC worldwide rights to the franchise and to the character. So I just think this is going to ultimately end up with potentially Warner Brothers writing a check and just settling out of court, or just outright defeating them in court. But I can tell you that most likely, if this is still in court and being fought over while the movie's coming out, they will just go ahead with the movie, unless there's a court injunction or something where they say cease and desist. If they actually grant the cease and desist that the Schuster state has laid out here for DC, unless that happens, if you're in the UK, if you're in Australia, if you're in Ireland, if you're in Canada, any of the countries that are in question here, you will still be able to see the movie, because whatever happens, they're going to deal with it after the fact. So just to kind of clarify and kind of belay your fears, I think that's kind of where this is headed. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of clarify it. I mean, we'll also return to this story as things evolve and change over time, but we hope that it doesn't spoil the fun for you guys if you are looking forward to seeing Superman in a movie theater. I mean, and yes, Lenny, it's not all the Commonwealth countries, but it is the bigger ones. But that's the common thread, because that's where the law comes from, and that's why that law is similar in those countries. With that in mind, guys, of course, as always, let us know what you thought about those stories. DCU Daily will continue tomorrow with another episode with Liz and John. But for the time being, that's all we have from the world of DC. But before we finish the show, as we always do, we're going to dive in to the next movie that we're going to review on the following week's show. So, of course, we have to talk about Love Hurts, which is Ke Kwan's next movie, a movie that, you know, he wasn't even sure about. Then he talked to Steven Spielberg. He was like, it sounds like a great movie. Go do it. Be a boss. And of course he did. And now the movie is almost out. It feels like it's another like nobody John Wick kind of a film. I'm excited because the trailer looks fantastic. What do you guys think about Love Hurts? Are you looking forward to it?
Hell yeah, definitely. Ke Kwan, love seeing Academy Award winner of his head. Man deserves it. Love it. We love to see it. Looks like a lot of fun. I know it's like the idea of like going John Wick is like a trope in and of itself now, but it's like Ke Kwan going John Wick. Plus, it's got, you know, Mr. I'm just here so I don't get fined. So we love that. Looks like a lot of fun.
There he is.
I can't wait.
Yeah, and it's a Goonies reunion with Sean Astin, and I mean, Ke Kwan is just, I'm excited for him. I mean, it does kind of give the Nobody vibes. It doesn't look as like hardcore or dark as Nobody, for sure. It's definitely going to be more of a comedy. I mean, again, I've said before, I don't expect there to be a sequel, but if it does as well as we think it might in the box office, you never know. We are supposedly getting a Nobody sequel, so
you can have a comparison, and we're getting a ballerina movie this year too. Like
that's right. Oh, and that looks so amazing. But I'm just looking forward to supporting Ke Kwan. I just think he's just great, and I'm happy to see him in these bigger roles. And I hope there's more to come for sure. And Ariana is just awesome too, so it'll be a great film.
She's picked a couple of bad movies since winning her Oscar, so I'm hoping that, you know, this one turns out good, and then obviously her star continues to rise. And then look, the producers of Nobody are the same producers behind this movie, and Violent Night, which I think was underrated. But
yeah,
you know what? Come on, Rotten Tomatoes, let's make this work, shall we? I want to see if the review embargo is lifted on this yet. No, of course not. Okay, so it comes out in a few days, but there is no reviews out for it yet. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but we shall see. Love Hurts. Let us know in the chat, guys. What do you think about this? This is one of those movies. It's going to be something you potentially go see as part of your Valentine's Day plans, maybe a week early. You know, if you're maybe not going to see Captain America next week, maybe you go watch Love Hurts.
Or Hard Eyes.
I'll be seeing both. I'll probably see Hard Eyes too, yeah.
I mean,
we're going to talk about that.
I liked it better when it was called My Bloody Valentine.
What are you going to do?
Much better movie, but, you know, it looks okay. I like Olivia Holt. I will say I like her. She's great. She was in
she was in Disney. She was in the Disney.
She's in a lot of Disney stuff, but yeah, she's really good. I like her a lot. And then it has the dweeb from fucking Scream 5 and 6. Ew, but like it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, thanks for everybody joining us. Even Manos Time, he's chiming in towards the end here, saying it looks as fun as this character and everything everywhere all at once. So cannot wait. Exactly. Love Hurts looks fantastic. And no matter how much love hurts, Ke Kwan is going to make you feel a little bit better.
Lenny, we talked about Buffy the Vampire Slayer yesterday. So if you want to know a little bit about that, then we talked about that yesterday.
Yes, there was a new Buffy the Vampire Slayer happening. Chloe Zhao's involved. And so, yes, John was there talking about it yesterday. Do check that out. But in the meantime, guys, as always, hit that like button and, you know, yes, please hit the like button. We do appreciate it. And while you're at it, hit the subscribe button. Let us know down below in the comments what you think about the show so far, or just the whole show, because we're pretty much done for the day. We've been here for like 3 hours.
Yeah, let me get him.
And that's your reminder to hit the notification bell, so that way you know when we go live at the next show. Yes, John, I will always use that one. But that brings an end to another fantastic show. It's past midnight on the East Coast, and I know you guys are watching us from Canada, from the UK, from probably Australia, Portugal, India, like everywhere you guys are checking us out from. On the West Coast, the East Coast, you know, in the mid states, what do they call them? The Midwest, you know, maybe Texas. Maybe you're watching us from Idaho or the Mississippi. I don't know. Let us know what you thought about the show today. All the different stories. We're going to be back tomorrow with another episode of DCU Daily. And then Or I think we might also do MCU Weekly. We got even more Marvel stuff we didn't talk about on today's show.
Oh yeah.
There's a bunch of new Netflix stuff, a new Wednesday preview. There's all this, there's a new Shadow.
Lenny wants us to really talk about Old Guard
too.
Talk about. Like she's really hankering.
The Old Guard 2. We're going to talk about the Old Guard 2.
Just for you, Lenny.
Manos was asking, do you think Hard Eyes will be as good as Companion? I don't know. We'll find out.
Hell nah.
No.
We'll find out in a few days. But hey, you know what? Speaking of Companion, take care of yourself, and we'll be back to accompany you next time on another episode of DCU Daily. Keep on drinking that chocolate syrup, John. We'll see you.
You ruined the whole fucking
That's
joke,
supposed to
man.
acknowledge it, Dan. What the hell, man?
Yes,
I
okay.
had to.
Since Dan ruined the joke, I'm not actually
God.
drinking chocolate syrup. It's water. I'm drinking water. God, you ruined the joke, Dan. God damn
Why
it.
does see how long we can keep it going, Dan? Ruined it.
Goodbye.
It.
Damn it. It's
It is water. Okay, cool.